Chapter 1299. The corpse of a devil that has been dead for millions of years is still so arrogant. What a joke. You don't want to submit? I will directly control your evil consciousness and force you to submit. Su Fong said in a domineering voice. A majestic and boundless shackling force shrouded the resurrected ancient devil. Who knew that at this moment? The devil race will never submit to the human race. The resurrected ancient devils roared in unison. Their bodies exploded almost at the same time, setting off turbulence in all directions. Damn it! The resurrected ancient devils were out of Su Fong's expectation. He raised his eyebrows and fully activated the true long world's magical treasure, shrouding the explosion of the resurrected ancient devil. Boom! 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 With the help of the magical treasure, Su Fong finally suppressed the explosion. He coughed out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. The formation that formed the 7th floor of the demon ceiling tower collapsed, revealing the tower. Human Su Fong, the devil race will not let you go. A figure rushed out of the demon ceiling tower like lightning. It was the resurrected ancient devil whose strength had reached the peak of the immortal emperor realm. It turned out that this devil had used the other ancient devil's self-destruction as an opportunity to escape from the demon ceiling tower. You think you can escape from the inner world of the magical treasure? Su Fong sneered. He then struck out a few hand seals, turning into a Xian Guang, and disappeared into the void. In an instant, the entire inner world of the Tao treasure shook violently, as if the heavens and earth were being split apart. At the same time, a great change occurred in the giant battle canyon. The true long world was damaged in the war and was left in the giant battle canyon. As no one was controlling it and the core key was lost, part of the space of this magical treasure was connected to the void of the giant battle canyon. At this moment, Su Fong had become the master of the true long world. After 5 years of integration, he was able to keep the true long world away from the void of the outside world. Su Fong did not do so previously because he was afraid that immortal Emperor Tianong would be alerted. Once he escaped from the demon ceiling tower, it would be troublesome. Su Fong's control over the true dragon world was still very limited. Even if he could suppress immortal Emperor Tianong, Su Fong would still feel heartache, as this was his territory. The resurrected elder devil tried his best to escape from the demon ceiling tower, but he never expected that he would end up in the world inside the Tao artifact. As Su Fong struck out with the seal, the area where the true dragon realm and the void outside shattered and collapsed, forming shocking spatial turbulence and tearing zones. The true dragon realm, which was not much smaller than a celestial realm, shrank rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it became a 1-foot-wide lotus. Finally, it turned into an almost negligible speck of dust and disappeared into the void. A world in a grain of sand. This was the magical aspect of spatial magic treasures. After the initial shock, everything in the inner world of the true dragon realm returned to normal. Su Fong scanned the entire true dragon realm with his consciousness. He also found the location of the resurrected ancient devil that was running around like a headless fly. Second primordial spirit, capture him. If Su Fong could fully control the true dragon realm, he would not have to go through so much trouble. With just a thought, he could shackle the elder devil and send him to his side. It's easy for me to subdue this elder devil. Second primordial spirit's voice carried supreme arrogance as he stepped out of the demon ceiling tower. Su Fong frowned at the disturbance caused by the resurrected ancient devil. Law's voice came from the blood jade in his body. It's just a few immortal emperor experts. It's nothing. What's there to be sad about? Su Fong replied, Law, are all resurrected devils this crazy? After a moment of silence, Luo Yu said, I'm afraid so, and this is just the beginning. I speculate that as more and more resurrected devils spread from the ancient battlefield of immortals to the great immortal world like a plague, they will become crazier and crazier as they continue to devour the consciousness of cultivators. Their evil nature will not change. When that time comes, even the devil realm will not be able to control them, and the immortal Tao will not be able to resist them. Strength. After coming to the god burying enclosure this time, my strength has increased by several levels. I'm still far from being able to sweep this immortal domain. It's still far from enough to protect myself in the catastrophe. I'm relieved that you can think this way and not be complacent. Let's not worry about the future for now. I'll first digest the gains from the god burying enclosure, then kill Yin Sin Shin and fulfill the 100-year blood oath. I'll go to Huyin Shinrikyo to get the 1,000 illusion star fire essence. Then I'll go to the Great Qin immortal world and the boundless secular palace to deal with the clear sky myriad scroll door. Then I'll go to the heavenly Tao immortal world and get the third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Qi. Just as Su Fong was planning the future, a shocking tribulation aura suddenly surged out of his body. It turned out that Su Fong had been suppressing his feather immortal ninth Tao realm peak cultivation. Now, he finally reached a point where he could no longer suppress it and was about to ascend to the world immortal realm. He immediately left the true dragon realm and entered the void outside. Giant Battle Canyon. As the true dragon realm was taken away by Su Fong, it caused a huge commotion in the Giant Battle Canyon. Violent space turbulence shot out, rushing out of the canyon. Pieces of the void were twisted and torn apart. Multicolored light flashed. This scene was like returning to the beginning of the Giant Battle Canyon. Whoosh, whoosh. One figure after another rushed out of the canyon in a sorry state, and then quickly flew away from the two sides of the canyon. More than a dozen figures landed on a mountain peak. They were Long Xiaojun, Huang Lingyao, and the experts from the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm and the Great Qin Immortal Realm. More than half of them had died in the previous incident. Long Xiaojun, Huang Lingyao, and the others were lucky. Immortal Emperor Tianang's clone was powerful and didn't need any help, so he left them outside. They were lucky to escape the fate of being captured by a Su Fong in one fell swoop. What happened in the Giant Battle Canyon? Why is there such a sudden change? Long Xiaojun's cheek was scratched by a space turbulence. Blood flowed out, and he no longer had the demeanor of a peerless genius from the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. Could it be that something happened in the place where the body of the peerless expert was sealed? Huang Lingyao was still as cold as before. It shouldn't be. Even if something happened, with Father's peerless strength and the cooperation of the demon race, he should be able to successfully seize the body and return safely, Long Xiaojun said confidently. Staring at the Giant Battle Canyon, Huang Lingyao said coldly, "After the Battle of the Land of Death, Su Fong disappeared. I don't know if he went to the place where the body was sealed. Lingyao, don't worry about him. Father has his lifeline in his hands. He has to go even if he doesn't want to. I'm afraid that Father has already captured him alive." Huang Lingyao sighed inwardly. She hoped that Su Fong didn't enter the place where the body was sealed. Only then would she have a chance to wash away the shame of losing to him. Long Xiaojun saw through Huang Lingyao's thoughts and comforted her. "Lingyao, although Su Fong is extraordinary, he doesn't know what's good for him. He goes against the heavens and won't amount to anything. He's just an ant. Don't worry about him." Buzz. Long Xiaojun suddenly took out a rune from his storage ring. He deciphered the information in the rune. Shock filled Long Xiaojun's eyes. Emperor Ning's residence suddenly attacked the constellation of 9 heavens. Even Emperor Ning's true body was involved. This news came as a surprise to Huang Lingyao and the others. Over the years, in order to cope with the calamity, expand their forces, seize the ethereal true solution, and stop the rise of Star Palace, the Tiandao Immortal Realm and Emperor Ning's residence have been secretly encroaching on the territories of the constellation of 9 heavens and the clear sky myriad scroll door. They even directly killed the experts of the 2 sections. However, the 2 sects were powerful forces after all. They had deep foundations. If they wanted to uproot them, they would have to pay a heavy price. It would be a long time before they attacked the sects directly. Emperor Ning's residence. While the other forces were focused on the god burying enclosure, they suddenly attacked the constellation of 9 heavens. This was too unexpected. What a ruthless and decisive supreme tranquility emperor. Long Xiaojun showed his domineering side and made a prompt decision. This immortal realm will soon be in turmoil. We must return to the Tiandao immortal realm immediately. Someone hesitated and asked, Emperor Ning's clone is still in the giant battle canyon. Long Xiao Jun interrupted him. With father's strength, why do we need to worry? It won't be long before he returns to the Tiandao immortal realm with the body of the supreme expert. At the same time, on the other side of the giant battle canyon, Huiyin Shinrikyo also received the same news. All the experts were shocked, and their hearts were in turmoil. On the altar, Yin Sun Shin was humiliated by Su Fong, who called him Yin Nu Exian. This made Yin Sun Shin suffer a setback that he had never experienced before. Huiyin Shinrikyo withdrew from the sealed land. Hearing the news that Emperor Ning's residence was attacking the constellation of Nine Heavens, Yin Senshin's previous decadence was swept away. His ambition swelled and burned again. His eyes emitted a hale and hearty light. I, Yin Senshin, have the twin swords of destruction. I will become the overlord of this immortal realm. This immortal realm is about to fall into turmoil. This is the time for me, Yin Senshin, to show my strength. How can I be defeated by this small setback? Thinking of this, Yin Senshin's body shone with a peerless radiance again. Su Fong is just a stepping stone on my path to becoming a supreme expert. Why do you have to shake my Tao heart? Su Fong, I, Yin Senshin, will stand on the stage of this immortal realm. You're just an ant. How can you compete with me? You better come out of the giant battle canyon. I will kill you with my own hands and use your blood to sharpen my Tao heart. Looking into the depths of the giant battle canyon, Yin Senshin's eyes burned with intense killing intent. Then he shouted coldly, Let's go back to the sect. Most of the experts from the 8 forces who came to the god-burying enclosure to seize the bodies of the supreme experts were trapped in the true long world. They either died or became Su Fong's slaves. However, there were also some who quit halfway. The people from the constellation of Nine Heavens were one of them. What? Emperor Ning's mansion is attacking the sect? Even Emperor Ning himself is coming? The news was like a clap of thunder, shocking the experts from the constellation of Nine Heavens. They were all dumbfounded and their faces turned pale. Let's go back to the sect. Out Yin Jinhin shouted angrily and was about to leave. However, the first elder, who was the leader of the team, hesitated and said, Elder Ao Tian, if he is not sure, the Supreme Tranquility Emperor will not come in person. When we arrive at the Star Palace, I'm afraid that the Star Palace would have been broken by the Tranquility Emperor. If we go back now, wouldn't it be like flying into the fire? When Emperor Ning's name was mentioned, the experts from the Star Palace were all in awe. They all agreed with the Great Elder. Ao Yin Jinhin raised his eyebrows and said, Great Elder, what do you mean? As the people of the Star Palace, how can we shrink back when the sect is in danger? Someone tried to persuade him, Elder Ao Yin, the sect has imprisoned you in the Ao Yin Peak for 100,000 years because of the demonic butterfly. Why do you? Even if the sect betrays me, I, Ao Yin Jinhin, would rather die than betray the Star Palace. You are afraid of death, but I am not. If I die for the sect, why should I be afraid of death? Ao Tian Zhonghen left behind the clanging sound and left Giant Battle Canyon alone. Someone mocked him from behind. Chapter 1300. In the void, the turbulence and nebula suddenly churned violently, shooting out an even more terrifying turbulence, disrupting the space and time. Some immortals saw this from afar, and they were so shocked that they ran for their lives. There were also a few daring immortals who saw some materials mixed in with the turbulence, including some fragments of Dharma treasures. They immediately had the thought of searching for treasures. What no one noticed was that other than the various substances that were ejected from the jet, there was also an inconspicuous speck of dust. It was blown into the void by the turbulence and rapidly grew in size, turning into a 1-foot square lotus seed pod. Whoosh! A figure emerged from the lotus. It was a black-robed youth. This person was Su Fong. After Su Fong put away the true dragon realm, the void in the giant battle canyon shattered, creating turbulence. The true dragon realm was swept away by the turbulence and then ejected here. Su Fong then appeared from the True Dragon realm. This isn't the giant battle canyon. Su Fong's eyes flashed with divine light. He looked around, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. Not far in front of him, there was a planar material floating in the wind and all kinds of debris. The continent was desolate. There was no forest, only exposed rocks and debris. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth was very thin. On the ground, there was a large black river. It was lifeless, and there was not a single ripple on it. This is the corrosive water extreme land. Su Fong recognized the large black river at a glance. He was very surprised. The corrosive water extreme land was a planar material that Su Fong had encountered on his way to the constellation of Nine Heavens not long after he ascended to the immortal world. It was also during a trade union mission in the corrosive water extreme land that Su Fong broke through the tribulation to become an immortal and formed a true immortal body. Thus, this place left a deep impression on him. I didn't expect to be swept here from the giant battle canyon of the God-burying enclosure, but I'm still considered lucky. If I was accidentally swept into some dangerous place outside the realm, it would be terrible. I have to find a place to transcend my tribulation. He flew toward a huge mountain range in the center of the corrosive water extreme land and landed on an inconspicuous mountain range. Where did this wild ghost come from? You dare to trespass on our territory? Swish, swish. Immortals flew out from the caves in the mountain range. There were more than 30 of them in total, and they used this place as their resting place. Leave. Su Fong slightly released the Supreme Emperor's might. Although Su Fong's current cultivation realm could not be considered as a true peerless expert, his Emperor's Qi came from cultivating the tyrannical Emperor's towering heavens technique and fusing with the purple Qi Dharma spirit, giving him a supreme, domineering aura. The strongest among the immortals was only a heaven immortal. How could they withstand his divine might? The arrogance from before instantly vanished, and it was replaced by a look of reverence and awe. It was like they were the subjects of a supreme ruler, and all of them respectfully obeyed the orders and left as quickly as possible. The spirit Qi here was very thin, but it was not non-existent. Su Fong did not care about this. He quickly took out 3 ancient spirit veins and placed them on the mountain ridge. He also released 10 or so cultivators who spread out in all directions. These cultivators were not very strong, only at the level of ordinary elders. He also let the second primordial spirit control the immortal and demon monsters to hide in the mountain range. At this time, Su Fong had many experts under him. It was just a tribulation transcendence, and it was too shocking to take them all out. After doing all this, before he could gather his true Qi to break through. Qi, the tribulation Qi that had been suppressed to the extreme, shot out from his body, followed by the tribulation fire, which burned with a huff. An illusory and misty energy was released, and heaven and earth seemed to have sensed it. The star fog in the sky boiled, and tribulation clouds surged out like stormy waves. Soon after, they spread in all directions and covered the sky, causing the star fog to be blocked. The heavenly tribulation condensed in an instant, emitting a terrifying heavenly Tao divine might that almost enveloped the entire place. On the continent, whether it was the immortals or the big goblin, it was as if doomsday had arrived. All of them trembled and looked at the sky in horror. More than 300 miles away from Su Fong's Tribulation Transcendence Mountain was the only city in the place. It had become a large-scale trading market. Feeling the heavenly tribulation's divine might, the immortals in the city walked out of their houses. Someone is actually transcending the 9th tribulation in the corrosive water. Judging from the heavenly tribulation's power, he should be trying to break through to the immortal realm. There was a house in the center of the city. A middle-aged man whose strength was comparable to immortal Chang'u looked up at the heavenly tribulation with a strange light in his eyes. An old man behind him said with disdain, "The immortal realm, is considered a powerhouse in the corrosive water, but it's nothing in front of our supreme tranquility Emperor's mansion." The middle-aged man shook his head and said, This person chose to transcend the tribulation in the corrosive water. He's obviously a rogue cultivator without a sect or family background. Such cultivators are usually more powerful than cultivators of the same level from sects and cultivation families. And judging from the heavenly tribulation's divine might, this person is not ordinary. The old man said, "If that's the case, we can directly take him as a subordinate of Emperor Tranquility Emperor's mansion. This trip to the corrosive water is not in vain." The middle-aged man smiled domineeringly. Emperor Tranquility Emperor's mansion is about to sweep this immortal area. This person met me in the corrosive water and was fortunate enough to become a subordinate of Emperor Tranquility Emperor's mansion. Let's see if he can survive the 9 heavenly tribulations. The heavenly tribulation of the immortal realm, is not so easy to pass. The old man smiled and said, "Let's go and have a look." At the same time, in the void thousands of miles away from the corrosive water, more than 10 figures passed through the thick star fog and flew across the sky. These people wore starry robes. They were the cultivators of the constellation of 9 heavens. In the lead was a thin old man in a plain starry robe. If Su Fong was present, he would recognize this person at a glance. He was the elder of the treasure-refining secret territory of Star Palace, the famous treasure-refining Master Luan. There were also some acquaintances of Su Fong, such as the junior elder of the treasure-refining secret territory Qiu Ranjung, the genius disciples Qin Kuei and Yuan Yifang. There was also a beautiful female disciple, who was Su Fong's old acquaintance, Wang Yuzhen. These cultivators of Star Palace were exhausted, and they looked like they were running for their lives. Master Luan, the peerless experts of Emperor Ning's mansion, will arrive in an instant. We can't escape. Moreover, the Supreme Emperor Ning is here personally. I'm afraid Star Palace has already fallen. Why don't we surrender? Yuan Yifang said, panting. Not only Yuan Yifang, but many other disciples also had the same thought. Qiu Ranjung shouted coldly, "Shut up! Emperor Ning's mansion is trying to destroy Star Palace. Surrender to Emperor Ning's mansion? Don't even think about it. Yuan Yifang, if you dare to say such words." Before he finished, a cold voice came from afar. "Master Luan, Star Palace is about to be destroyed. I'm being merciful to you because you're a treasure-refining master. If you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being rude. Let's go." Master Luan's face changed, and he sped up. Yuan Yifang and the other 2 disciples of the treasure-refining secret territory fell behind and left the team of Star Palace. Master Luan passed through a thick fog of stars, and his eyes widened. He saw the rotten water and the heavens test in the sky. "Let's go there." Master Luan made a decision without hesitation. Just then, a ray of light tore through the thick heavens test cloud with a shocking divine power. It descended on the ground and went straight to Su Fong on the mountain. Compared to the 9 thunder test of Green Feather King, the heavens test of the underworld immortal realm is too weak. Su Fong shook his head and laughed disdainfully. He then soared into the sky against a ray of light. Boom! Su Fong didn't activate any divine power. Instead, he hit the ray of light with his body and smashed it into pieces. There was also a part of the ray of light that seeped into his body, but his skin wasn't damaged at all. I plan to use the 9 thunder test to refine my body and cultivate the thunder punishment real body. The power of this heaven's test is far from enough. Su Fong looked up at the sky and muttered to himself. He was dissatisfied. The next moment, 2 rays of light rushed over. They were much more powerful than the first ray of light. Not bad this time. Su Fong laughed again and used his body to withstand the ray of light. He used the power of the heavens test to refine his body. Crack! The heavens test cloud kept rolling. After a while, there was an earth-shattering thunder. 3 rays of light intertwined with each other. They were like 3 divine dragons formed by terrifying rays of light. They carried a shocking, destructive aura and rumbled from the heavens test cloud. Everything in the universe trembled in the aura, as if they would be destroyed in the next moment. The power of the 3rd heavens test has reached the level of the underworld immortal realm. An ordinary cultivator at the peak of the Yushin realm can't withstand it. Not bad. Boom! The 3 rays of light hit Su Fong and caused his body to fall. He almost fell into the mountain. Lightning crackled on his body and drilled into his body, attempting to destroy his physical body. Although the third heaven's test was powerful, it was much weaker than the Green Feather Emperor's test of the Demon Royal. It was not at the same level as the power of the Thunder Punishment released by the Thunder Punishment Cauldron. Su Fong's skin was slightly damaged. After the lightning penetrated into his body, it was integrated by Su Fong's body and then led into the Yin-Yang Tao Wheel to attack the 29th Yang Meridian. From the 4th heaven to the 5th heaven, Su Fong was hit by the Thunder Test again and again. He flew up fearlessly to accept the baptism of the Thunder Test. The immortals who were watching from afar and the 2 masters from the Tranquil Emperor's mansion were dumbfounded. They could not believe their eyes. When a cultivator went through the heaven's test, he was trembling with fear. He used all kinds of magic and magic treasures. If he was not careful, he would be hit by the Thunder Test. Even if he was lucky enough to survive the heaven's test, he would lose a layer of skin. The cultivator in front of them was going through the heaven's test. Was he really a human cultivator and not a peerless big goblin with a strong physical body? Even a peerless big goblin would not dare to accept the heaven's test directly with his physical body. We came to the extreme land of corrosive water to build a base for the Tranquil Emperor's mansion to enter the Yuan Lu Great World. I did not expect to find a treasure by accident. The middle-aged man from the Tranquil Emperor's mansion was very excited. The old man smiled and said, "Congratulations, sir. You must have done a great service to have such a master under your command." The cultivators from the Star Palace who had just escaped into the extreme land of corrosive water also saw Su Fong going through the heaven's test. Wang Yuzhen was ecstatic. She shouted in surprise, "It's Su Fong. I can't believe we met him here. He has countless masters under him. We are saved." Master Luan and Xiao Ranjung smiled bitterly. The genius disciple Qin Kuei's face was also very ugly. When Su Fong entered the Star Palace, he was bullied and humiliated by his peers. He even almost lost his life several times. Although he was valued later, it was because he handed over the ethereal enlightenment. In the God Burial Enclosure, the Star Palace did not save him. Su Fong left the Star Palace directly. Now, the people from the Star Palace were in trouble, and they were asking him for help. How could he agree? Were you to rise again when the sun falls in the west? Chapter 13:01. In the sky, the thick layer of clouds instantly became thin. It was as if Su Fong's disdain for the heavenly tribulation had angered the heavenly tribulation, and it was preparing a final blow to kill the person who dared to disrespect the heavenly tribulation. Crack! 9 bolts of lightning and thunder fire tore through the tribulation clouds. The tribulation was like 9 lightning snakes, and they gathered together to form a 200 feet long, ferocious lightning python. Flames burned fiercely, and it roared as it descended upon the corrosive water. Finally, not only did the lightning tribulation contain shocking lightning punishment will and destructive aura, the space-time within 1,000 miles formed shackles at this moment, as if it was rejecting Su Fong, not allowing him to exist. Su Fong erupted with a strand of fire element divine might as he strode up step by step in midair, and he melted and shattered the shackles in the surroundings. His entire body emanated a proud and unyielding aura, and it caused everyone that witnessed this scene to feel admiration. What was an expert? Going against the heavens, unyielding and unyielding. This was a true expert. Boom, boom, boom. The lightning python attacked in a frenzy, and it exploded with a world-shaking thunder elemental aura. Lightning and thunder fire enveloped Su Fong's body. Waves of joyful laughter came from the lightning tribulation. In this terrifying lightning tribulation that could kill world immortals below the 3 Dao realm, Su Fong roamed freely, and he was crazy and arrogant. The violent lightning tribulation energy surged into his body, and Su Fong released the power of yin and yang. The lightning tribulation energy became obedient, and it turned into a strong force of yang, and entered the yin-yang Dao wheel to attack the 29th Yang Meridian. Seeing that the 29th Yang Meridian was about to be born, the surroundings quieted down. The lightning tribulation energy had been absorbed by his body and used to attack the Yang Meridian, and it had been completely consumed. Su Fong landed on the mountain range, and a peaceful aura descended from the tribulation clouds in the sky, enveloping his body. His body welcomed the shattering and impact, and his entire body was bleeding. The impurities in the placenta came out from the depths of his body, and there was a foul smell. After the impact, everything quieted down. In an instant, Su Fong had the feeling that he'd fused into one with the surrounding space, and there was a type of cooperation between his body and nature. It wasn't profound like the mysterious immortal realm, nor was it ethereal and difficult to touch like the heavenly immortal realm, and it was true control. From then on, Su Fong stepped into a whole new realm of immortals. In the stars, he could control the void space within 1,000 miles. He could even create a space in the void that he could control. After stepping into the worldly immortal realm, Su Fong felt that the changes inside and outside of his body were earth-shattering. Just as he was about to take a look and stabilize his condition, whoosh whoosh, two figures flew through the air. People from Emperor Ning's mansion. From their auras, Su Fong determined their identities and raised his eyebrows. The dozen or so cultivators guarding the area rushed forward and blocked their path. They were the two masters of Emperor Ning's mansion who were guarding the extreme place of corrosive water. They came here to invite Su Fong to join them. They didn't expect that Su Fong had so many masters around him. More than a dozen masters at the level of junior elders, which was a powerful force. They judged that Su Fong was not a rogue cultivator, but a disciple of a big force. They were shocked, but when they thought of their identities, they showed their arrogance. They looked down at Su Fong on the mountain and asked loudly, "Friend, where are you from?" Su Fong replied indifferently, "I'm a rogue cultivator who doesn't belong to any sect." "What's the matter?" Seeing Su Fong's indifference, the elder of Emperor Ning's mansion was annoyed. He said coldly, "The extreme place of corrosive water is under the control of Emperor Ning's mansion. Since you're going through the tribulation here, of course we have to come and see." When did the extreme place of corrosive water become under the control of Emperor Ning's mansion? Su Fong was surprised. The herbaceous water impasse was so desolate, and there was a 9 stars palace between the herbaceous water impasse and the Emperor Ning's mansion. How could the herbaceous water impasse be under the control of the mansion of Emperor Ning? The extreme place of corrosive water is nothing. It won't be long before the Shinao macro world, the Yuanlu macro world, and even this immortal realm will be under the control of Emperor Ning's mansion. The elder said proudly. The middle-aged man said majestically, "I'm in charge of the extreme place of corrosive water. Seeing your great strength, I want to invite you to join Emperor Ning's mansion. What do you think?" "I don't want to join any force, and I'm not interested in Emperor Ning's mansion. Please go ahead," Su Fong said indifferently. He had just reached the realm of world immortal, so he was in a good mood. Although the middle-aged man's cultivation had reached the realm of world immortal, he was also a master. However, Su Fong didn't take him seriously at all. He wasn't even interested in fighting with him. The elder's tone suddenly became awe-inspiring. "You dare to refuse the good intentions of Emperor Ning's mansion? You better think it through. Your strength is extraordinary. As long as you join Emperor Ning's mansion, you'll enjoy supreme treatment. Otherwise," Su Fong suddenly looked into the distance and raised his eyebrows. His eyes were full of surprise. It turned out, Master Luan led the cultivators of Star Palace over the sky and was sensed by Su Fong's great fulfillment ability. It was natural for him to be surprised to see an acquaintance of Star Palace in the corrosive water. Wang Yushan was also there. This woman was shrewd and frank. She was one of Su Fong's few friends in the constellation of 9 heavens. In Demon Dawn Fortress, Su Fong witnessed Wang Yushan's body being devoured by the demon clan's planting technique. He promised Wang Yushan that he would kick her out and take care of his sister. He was also prepared to find an opportunity to go to Star Palace to find her. Unexpectedly, he met her here, which made Su Fong very happy. Master Luan, the corrosive water is now the territory of Emperor Ning's mansion. Aren't you walking into a trap by running here? A majestic voice was heard. Then a white-robed man appeared in the sky. His aura was ethereal, but he had a supreme domineering aura. His cultivation had reached the realm of 6 realms of world immortal. In Emperor Ning's mansion, there were many masters. Behind the white-robed man, there were more than a dozen people. In addition to the masters of Emperor Ning's mansion, Yuan Yifeng and the other disciples of Star Palace were also among them. Hearing the voice of the white-robed man, Master Luan and the other cultivators of Star Palace suddenly panicked and rushed over recklessly. The white-robed man of Emperor Ning's mansion followed them unhurriedly, as if victory was already in his hands. It's the master of the mansion. He's chasing the cultivators of constellation of 9 heavens. The 2 masters of Emperor Ning's mansion immediately left Su Fong and went to stop the cultivators of Star Palace. Emperor Ning's mansion is chasing the cultivators of Star Palace in public. It seems that the situation in the immortal realm has changed a lot during the years I was in the God Burial enclosure. Master Luan was an elder of weapon refining secret land. He was famous in the nearby immortal realm and had a high status in Star Palace. Even the leader of Star Palace thought highly of him. At this time, he was being chased by the masters of Emperor Ning's mansion. Obviously, there was a big change in Star Palace. Su Fong immediately left the mountain and flew up into the sky. Help us! With the pursuers behind and the obstacles in front, the cultivators of Star Palace were completely desperate. Seeing Su Fong, Wang Yuzhen immediately shouted for help as if they were looking for a savior. How dare you interfere in the affairs of Emperor Ning's mansion? If you don't want to die, go down there and wait. After we deal with the people of Star Palace, we'll deal with you. The middle-aged man of Emperor Ning's mansion shouted coldly. With the appearance of the masters of Emperor Ning's mansion, he became arrogant. He's Su Fong. Yuan Yifeng, who was behind a man in white, recognized Su Fong at a glance. He cried out in surprise, as if he had seen a ghost. Yes, I'm Su Fong. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Fong flicked out 2 runes. They exploded and turned into 2 clouds of poisonous smoke, covering the 2 masters of Emperor Ning's mansion. At this time, Ghoul's strength was amazing. He could even kill a celestial emperor. How horrible would the poisonous runes made with his demonic poison be? With 2 consecutive shrill screams, the bodies of the middle-aged man and the old man were quickly corroded into blood. They turned into 2 black skeletons and fell to the ground. Master Luan and the other cultivators of Star Palace all gasped in shock. They had also heard that Su Fong had defeated the experts of the Tian Dao Immortal Realm, the Emperor Ning's mansion, and the Great Qin Immortal Realm in the God-burying enclosure. However, they had thought that Su Fong had relied on extraordinary Dao treasures and the experts under him. Unexpectedly, at this time, he killed the 2 masters of Emperor Ning's mansion effortlessly. The middle-aged man's cultivation was even higher than Master Luan's. In addition to being shocked, everyone was pleasantly surprised. Since Su Fong was willing to help, they finally escaped death. They were saved. Go! The white-robed man of Emperor Ning's mansion, who was like a dominator, was scared out of his wits. He turned around and was about to break through the sky. Since you're here, none of you can leave. As soon as the voice full of killing intent came out, a figure appeared like lightning and grabbed toward the white-robed man. A strange and terrifying shackling force enveloped the white-robed man's body. It was as though this entire space-time had been locked down. This powerful Grand Elder-level expert was like a weak chicken in front of this fiend god monster. He was directly grabbed by the neck, unable to resist at all. In the realm of immortals, every step was like a huge gap. The gap between immortal emperors and realm immortals was like the gap between a giant and a baby. The gap was too big. The other masters of Emperor Ning's mansion and Yuan Yifeng fled in all directions. How dare you disobey my order? Said Su Fong's second primordial spirit in a cold voice. Then, an illusory sword energy shot out from the eyes of the immortal and devil monster. Instantly, The immortal and devil monster fell to the ground like dumplings being dropped into a pot. The 10 or so junior elders behind Su Fong flew out and caught all of them. Everyone from Star Palace was shocked once again. Su Fong cupped his fist to Master Luan and Qiu Ranzheng and said politely, "Greetings, Master Luan and Elder Qiu." Master Luan and the others hurriedly returned the greeting. The disciples were so nervous that they couldn't breathe. As for Qin Kuei, the #1 genius disciple in the treasure-refining secret land, she didn't know where to put her hands. How many years had it been? The disciple who used to be at the bottom, the disciple of Huangfu family who was bullied and humiliated all day long, had now become a peerless master with great power. Everyone found it hard to believe. It was like a dream. Su Fong looked at Wang Yuzhen and smiled. "Senior sister Wang Yuzhen, you used to call me sister every time we met. Why don't you recognize me today? How's your business these days? You're making a lot of money every day, right?" Wang Yuzhen blushed and bowed to Su Fong politely. "Wang Yuzhen greets Mr. Su Fong." Su Fong waved his hand and said, "Although I'm not the Huangfu Shaoying I used to be, I've always treated you as a friend. If friends are still like this, then we can't even be friends." Wang Yuzhen was very smart. She said impolitely, "You're already a peerless master now, but I'm like a stray dog. How can I not be respectful? Tell me, how do you want me to curry favor with you so that I can ride your coattails?" Cough. Su Fong coughed a few times. The familiar Wang Yuzhen was back again. Only then did Master Luan and the others understand that Su Fong had saved them because of Wang Yuzhen. The few of them couldn't help but rejoice. Chapter 1302. Yuan Yifeng. "You are a shameless bastard who betrayed the sect." Master Luan scolded him angrily and then told him what had happened with a livid face. Yuan Yifeng trembled and begged for mercy. "Su Fong, since we are from the same sect, please spare my life. I am willing to be your slave and refine treasures for you. You are not qualified to be my slave. Kill him," Su Fong said indifferently. The junior elder controlling Yuan Yi's side smashed his head into mush with a palm strike. The other 3 disciples of the treasure-refining secret territory who followed Yuan Yifeng were also executed. Su Fong was so ruthless and decisive that Master Luan and the other practitioners of the Star Palace were shocked. Some disciples of the treasure-refining secret territory who had mocked and even bullied Su Fong were terrified. They were afraid that Su Fong would settle accounts with them and end up like Yuan Yifeng. Su Fong naturally did not care about the past. He asked Master Luan why he was chased by the Emperor Ning's mansion. Su Fong was also shocked when he heard that the Emperor Ning's mansion attacked the Star Palace. Master Luan was not clear about the details. It turned out that he was invited by the Brahma meditation sect to refine magic treasures with the people of the treasure-refining secret territory. Wang Yuzhen wanted to take this opportunity to make a fortune, so she went with them. On their way back to the constellation of 9 heavens, they were intercepted by the experts of the Emperor Ning's mansion. Only then did they know that the Star Palace was attacked by the Emperor Ning's mansion. Even the Emperor Ning himself came. At this time, the periphery of the Star Palace had been cleared. Only the Taoist right of the sect was left, which was heavily besieged by the experts of the Emperor Ning's mansion. Thanks to the escorting experts from Star Palace who fought to the death and the fact that Emperor Ning's mansion wanted to capture Master Luan alive and asked him to refine weapons for Emperor Ning's mansion, they didn't kill him. So, Master Luan and the others were lucky enough to escape and come here. Master Luan wanted to ask Su Fong for help, but when he thought of the extremely powerful Emperor Ning, even if Su Fong wanted to help, he could not. So he had to give up the idea. The Star Palace is powerful and has formed an alliance with the Clear Sky Myriad Scroll Gate. Even if the Tranquility Emperor comes personally, he won't be able to break the Star Palace easily. "Don't worry, Heaven Master Luan." Su Fong comforted her. Then he asked, "We can't go back to the Star Palace. Where do you plan to go?" Heavenly Master Luan and the others were at a loss. Where could they go? Wang Yuzhen said bluntly, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm just hoping to hug your thigh." Su Fong said, "Why don't all of you follow me for the time being? It won't be too late for all of you to return to Star Palace after the crisis of Star Palace is resolved." Heavenly Master Luan and the others did not refuse. They were taken into the True Dragon Realm by Su Fong and settled on a mountain peak in the True Dragon Realm that was full of spiritual energy. Su Fong then stored the immortal devil monster, the dozen or so junior elders, as well as the experts from the Tranquil Emperor's mansion, into the Crucible Transformation Realm. And then Su Fong flew to the constellation of Nine Heavens. The blood jade in Luo Zai's body said in surprise, "Are you going to rescue the Star Palace because you are soft-hearted? Although your overall strength is comparable to the immortal Emperor forces in this immortal region, it is not wise to fight against the Emperor Ning's mansion. The Emperor Ning is an immortal emperor who has been famous for millions of years. Soft-hearted? In the immortal realm, the weak are prey to the strong. If you are soft-hearted, you will be eaten alive. I, Su Fong, will not be a good person and put my life on the line. Besides, what has the Star Palace done for me that I would risk my life to save them? Are you trying to take advantage of the situation? I don't think so. Out Yin Chanhen, baby Huang Fu, and immortal Changgu, I will try my best to save them. Besides, I have more and more subordinates, and my consumption is increasing. I have to find a way to make money. Yin Yang Immortal Sky Elixir is also needed. What I lack the most now are blacksmiths and alchemists. If I can save a master like Master Luan, wouldn't it be the best of both worlds? Of course, if I can recruit some experts, it will be good too. Isn't that taking advantage of the situation? I understand now. You saved Master Luan and the other blacksmiths because you want to recruit them. Su Fong, you are getting more and more despicable. And that Wang Yuzhen, are you interested in her beauty and want to recruit her? TSK. That is a good idea. The path of cultivation is boring. If you have a beautiful woman to accompany you, you will have endless fun. But be careful not to let Xuanxin know. Luo, you are getting more and more shameless. I saved Wang Yuzhen not only because I had a good relationship with her in the past, but also because she's shrewd. She's a natural businesswoman, and I can use her to my advantage. She can help me earn a lot of money and solve my resource problem. And solve the physiological problem at the same time, right? Su Fong could only keep silent. It seemed that he had to hurry up and find a powerful female cultivator's primordial spirit to enter the blood jade to help Luo solve his physiological problem. As for how to solve it, or whether it could be solved, there was no need to think about it for the time being. In the outer realm of the void, on the way to the constellation of Nine Heavens for the first time, Su Fong had suffered a lot and experienced a lot of hardships and dangers. Now that he had advanced to the world immortal realm, it was much easier. He could directly cross the areas that he used to shrink back in the past. While hurrying, Su Fong was also constantly cultivating and consolidating the normal state of the world immortal realm. He also separated from the Yang Immortal and entered the True Dragon Realm to digest the harvest in the God Burial Enclosure. Whoosh! In the inner world of the Crucible Transformation Realm, Su Fong came to the array where Fairy Xuanxin was cultivating. Although Fairy Xuanxin still had a cold aura, she was less indifferent than before. She was more gentle, quiet, and mature. The sadness deep in her eyes was also gone. When she saw Su Fong, she smiled. You broke through. I have successfully advanced to the world immortal realm. Do you want to help me celebrate? Su Fong smiled. Fairy Xuanxin certainly understood Su Fong's meaning. A layer of red appeared on her face. You are a Yang Immortal. How are you going to dual cultivate? Su Fong laughed. You silly woman. Did I say I wanted to dual cultivate to celebrate? I want to bring you, the mistress, to inspect my subordinates. First, he moved the Crucible Transformation Realm, Yellow Spring Emperor's experts, Big Goblin, and other subordinates. Due to the Great Immortal Demon War, the True Dragon Realm was severely damaged. After millions of years, there were some extreme energy spaces in the True Dragon Realm. The energy and laws were chaotic. Fortunately, the True Dragon Realm was vast. It was almost the size of a celestial realm. Some of its territory was not much different from a star. It was just enough for the experts in Big Goblin to live and cultivate. Moreover, those extreme energy spaces were holy lands for cultivators and Big Goblin, who cultivated special techniques and abilities. The only troublesome thing was those monsters. They had to wait until they integrated with the true dragon realm before they could suppress them. The powerful experts, big goblin, cultivators, and commanders were moved by Su Fong to the central region of the true dragon realm. It was rich in spiritual energy and resources. Greetings, master. Greetings, mistress. Su Fong's gaze swept across his subordinates. For a moment, he was full of pride. Big goblin subordinates, besides the green feather emperor who went to scout for information, Bai Ling who was cultivating in the chaotic area of the true dragon realm, the vermilion emperor, the sky-reaching demon venerable, the undying tortoise, the wooling goblin, and other powerful big goblin. There was also Shi Xian. Xian? You? Zhuba Bai? Liao Qimon? Calyx Cormorant? D. Shanley? Province among the experts. The drifting snow immortal was the strongest. There were more than 30 immortal emperors. They were all experts of the 8 forces who were suppressed in the demon ceiling tower. The rest were experts like Dai Yong who had followed Su Fong for a long time. There were also many experts of the demon clan. The strongest one was the resurrected ancient demon. In the end, he didn't manage to escape from the true dragon realm. His consciousness was controlled by Yi Mei's second primordial spirit, and he became one of Su Fong's top experts. The dark green demon emperor was still shackled in the crucible transformation realm. He was severely injured, and his strength was far from recovering. Moreover, this demon was cunning and cruel. He was also a blood demon, so it was difficult to subdue him. Su Fong kept him in the crucible transformation realm and tortured him slowly. The strongest one was naturally the immortal demon monster controlled by Yi Mei's second primordial spirit. The other one was the incomparably huge, gluttonous demon, which had reached the supreme strength of an immortal emperor. Master is mighty. Seeing Su Fong's overall strength, many of his subordinates were completely shocked. They didn't expect their master's strength to soar to such a terrifying extent. Knowing that this was the inner world of Su Fong's spatial magic treasure, which was like a moving immortal realm, and that they would live and cultivate here in the future, all of his subordinates cheered in unison. Their voices gathered together like a tsunami. Although there was no shortage of cultivation resources in the Crucible Transformation realm and the Yellow Spring Great Emperor's Bottle, and they had far more resources than any other forces, it was too boring after a long time. Especially those violent and unruly big goblin, they would definitely not be able to stand it after a long time. I, Su Fong, once promised you that if you follow me, you will get whatever you want. We will all pursue the great Tao together and become the strongest immortal. In this great immortal realm where the weak are prey to the strong, we will make a name for ourselves. Today, I have finally taken the first step and given everyone a territory to grow freely. This will be our home. Su Fong's words caused a burst of thunderous cheers. The big goblin who had followed Su Fong from the small world to the immortal realm were all excited, emotional. The other big goblin cultivators and those demon Dao cultivators looked at Su Fong with eyes full of worship and admiration. Their hearts were full of pride, and their blood was boiling. In the entire great immortal realm, which force was like Su Fong, who allowed his subordinates to enjoy cultivation resources freely. Which faction could possess such a miraculous, moving, immortal realm? And Su Fong had such terrifying strength, and it took him less than 1,000 years to do all this. In another 10,000 years, or even 100,000 years, what kind of scene would it be? Fairy Xuanxin was shocked and full of pride. This is my man. In the entire great immortal realm, how many people can compete with him? Xian Yintian's mouth never closed from the beginning to the end. At first, he was scared. Then he was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. Those cultivators who came from Emperor Ning's mansion and Tiandao, immortal realm, were tortured in every way possible before they had to submit to Su Fong, but their hearts were never loyal. There were also some experts from the 8 forces who had just been subdued. They were also forced to submit to Su Fong helplessly. At this time, all of their strange thoughts were dispelled. Following a master like Su Fong was more than 100 times better than before. Master Luan, Xiao Ranzheng, and the other Star Palace cultivators were also called here by Su Fong. At this time, they finally saw Su Fong's overall strength, which was 100 times or even 10,000 times stronger than they had imagined. They were all shocked and speechless for a long time. Putting aside the foundation, Su Fong's overall strength at this time had even surpassed the constellation of 9 heavens. It might be slightly weaker than Emperor Ning's mansion and Tiandao, Immortal Realm. With such a powerful force hidden in spatial treasures, they could attack or retreat. Even if a calamity were to come, they would still have the power to protect themselves. Except for Master Luan, who still had a glimmer of hope for Star Palace. The others had the idea of relying on Su Fong. As for Wang Yuzhen, Chapter 1303. Now a catastrophe is coming and the great immortal world is in turmoil. No one can escape. Strength. I need you to keep getting stronger and stronger so that you can protect our home in this catastrophe. Follow me, Su Fong, as we fight our way through the great immortal world and carve out a path for ourselves to become a powerful expert. As soon as Su Fong's domineering voice was heard, his subordinates shouted in unison, "Protect our home and conquer the great immortal world." Next, it was time to build the dojos. Su Fong planned to build 6 dojos, 1 for his own cultivation and residence, 3 for Immortal Path cultivators, demonic immortals, and demon clan experts to cultivate, and the other 2 for treasure refining dojo and alchemy dojo. Su Fong did not need to worry about these things. He did not lack such experts. Su Fong invested the inheritance of the Emperor of Netherworld and the various resources he obtained later. Palaces rose from the ground in the true immortal world. It would not take long for the true immortal world to change completely. The large amount of resources spent made Su Fong's heart bleed. If this went on, he would soon become poor. The treasure refining dojo and alchemy dojo became a top priority. Su Fong went to Master Luan directly about the treasure refining dojo. Master Luan hesitated when he heard Su Fong's request. He had been in the Star Palace all his life and had an extremely high status. It would be difficult for him to give up now. Su Fong smiled faintly. If Master Luan can agree to my request and help me build the treasure refining dojo, I have a weapon tripod that I can lend to you temporarily. Weapon tripod? I have been refining weapons for millions of years, and I have no lack of weapon tripods. I even have a peak supreme grade ancient weapon tripod, Master Luan said faintly with arrogance. He took out the creation Tiangang tripod. It was a 3-legged tripod with a height of 10 feet and a terrifying aura that could refine heaven and earth. Heavenly Master Luan was stunned for a moment and rubbed his eyes. His body trembled as he said, This is a King Grey Dao artifact. This is impossible. How could there be such a treasure in the great celestial realm? Xiao Ran and the other cultivators in the treasure-refining mystery land of Star Palace turned into stone statues. What kind of concept was a King Grey Dao artifact? It was in existence on the same level as the 10 Great Dao artifacts. Moreover, a cauldron specialized in refining Dao artifacts was even rarer than the 10 Great Dao artifacts. After all, there were as many as 10 of the 10 Great Dao artifacts, and they could still be seen occasionally. As for a king-grade cauldron, it was an item of legend, a peerless treasure that one could not even dream of. Su Fong actually possessed such a peerless treasure. How could this not be shocking? King-grade cauldron, I'm actually lucky enough to see a King Grey Dao artifact in my life. Master Luan used his trembling hands to carefully caress the cauldron. He actually cried out in pain like a child. Then, Master Luan promised, Su Fong, I promise you that I'll make your treasure-refining training hall better than the Star Palace. I don't have the ability to activate this peerless treasure cauldron, but you have to let me comprehend the formation in the Dao artifact often. King Grey Cauldron? Haha! I'm actually lucky enough to comprehend a King Grey Dao artifact. Looking at the crazy Master Luan, Su Fong was shocked and stunned. How is this still the dignified elder in the treasure-refining mystery land of Star Palace in his impression? Xiao Ran and the other cultivators in the Star Palace including the #1 disciple in the treasure-refining mystery land, Qin Kuei, had already decided to rely on Su Fang. Not to mention other things, just the opportunity to comprehend a King Gray Dao artifact alone was enough to tempt any blacksmith. They would even kneel down and lick his boots. With Master Luan, a master blacksmith, and Xiao Ran and the others who were blacksmiths, the treasure refining training hall would definitely become a first-class training hall in the future. However, the treasure refining training hall was a huge problem. Yin Yang Immortal Sky Elixir was already insufficient. However, they lacked the manpower of alchemists and did not have any top alchemists under them. They could only choose those who were proficient in alchemy, based on the previous alchemists, and fill up the ranks of alchemists. Su Fang also extended his support to Wang Yuzhen, allowing her to select capable subordinates to set up a chamber of commerce and enter various celestial worlds to amass wealth. Su Fang's importance and expectation towards Wang Yuzhen was no less than Master Luan. After making arrangements, Su Fang's thought moved and summoned the True Dragon World's weapon spirit, True Dragon. The weapon spirit was wrapped in a ball of 5-colored light and appeared in front of Su Fang's Yang Immortal. Master, what are your orders? When can I use the various treasures in the True Dragon World at will? Su Fang had always been thinking about the ice marrow milk on the ice field, as well as those powerful and numerous fire, rock, and metal monsters. There were also some areas that Su Fang had not explored yet. There were definitely many treasures in them. Master, you're only barely activating the True Dragon World now. Only when you completely control the True Dragon World can you truly become the absolute ruler of the True Dragon World. The treasures inside will be at your disposal, and those naturally formed monsters will also listen to your orders. Now, if you want to excavate the treasures and use the monsters, you must use your strength to forcefully conquer them. It won't be long before I completely control the True Dragon World. Su Fang revealed strong confidence. Now that he could even activate the Xianming Lightning Archive, it was only a matter of time before he could control the True Dragon World. Also, there's one more thing that Master must prepare as soon as possible. The True Dragon World is severely damaged. At most, it will collapse in another 100,000 years. You must find a way to repair it. Su Fang's head hurt. Repair the True Dragon World? How? I don't know about the True Dragon World. The True Dragon World was refined by the great Emperor Tianbao. If you can find the inheritance of the great Emperor Tianbao, you may be able to find a way to repair the True Dragon World. Great Emperor Tianbao? Law's voice suddenly sounded. Su Fang asked in surprise, Law, you also know the great Emperor Tianbao? Law replied, How could I not know of the most outstanding great Emperor Tianbao of the ancient times? This person once refined many peerless treasures for the immortal world. Who doesn't know of him? However, this person has been around for a long time. He must have died long ago. The great Emperor Tianbao can actually refine a spatial treasure comparable to the Xianming Lightning Archive. What a powerful great Emperor Tianbao. It is almost impossible to find his inheritance now. We can only take one step at a time to repair the True Dragon World. Su Fang could not help but feel a little disappointed. After settling his many subordinates, Su Fang began to enter a state of cultivation. The transformation of the Acheron Blood Sea allowed Su Fang to cultivate while he was on the road. He turned into a blood man. As he traveled, he swallowed pills and spiritual items to cultivate the Acheron Blood Sea, 9 Yang 9 changes, ethereal enlightenment, tyrannical emperor, Ling Tian technique, and other techniques. His cultivation gradually stabilized at the first realm of the world immortal realm. However, it would take a long time to reach the second realm. Every step in the world immortal realm was extremely difficult. The world immortals of the world immortal realm in the great immortal world were all talented and had extraordinary luck. However, to advance a small realm, it would take at least tens of thousands of years. The slower ones would need hundreds of thousands of years. Some would even be stuck in the same place for their entire lives. Out Yin Jinhen was considered a peerless genius in cultivation in the Star Palace. However, it took him 100,000 years to cross the threshold from the third realm of the world immortal realm to the fourth realm. Fairy Xuanqin had the ice phoenix physique. She had been nurtured by the clear skies, thousand scrolls door since young. In addition, Xian Tian had poured all his efforts into her. However, due to Yin Xinxin, she had encountered a bottleneck in her cultivation and was stuck in the third realm of the world immortal realm. If she had not dual cultivated with Su Fong, which stimulated the Ice Phoenix physique and cultivated the Ice Phoenix real body, she might have been stuck at the peak of the third realm for her entire life. This showed how difficult it was to cultivate in the world immortal realm. Fortunately, Su Fong had all kinds of peerless techniques, as well as his perfect body and various real bodies. His speed of improvement would definitely be much faster than those peerless geniuses. Ethereal realm. In the space outside the realm of ice and snow, the world was filled with floating snow, ice, and broken stones floating in the void. Su Fong, who was traversing through the ice and snow, suddenly exploded with an aura. In an instant, everything within a radius of 1,000 feet, including ice, snow, and broken stones, all froze as if he had become the absolute ruler of this domain. World Immortal Realm experts use the essence of heaven and earth and the power of the stars to create their own domain in the void. However, they could not maintain it for long and could only launch short attacks. After Su Fong advanced to the World Immortal Realm, he used the essence of heaven and earth and the power of the stars. Combined with the ethereal truce ability, the ethereal realm, he created a space similar to a domain in the void. Its power was more than 10 times stronger than the domains of cultivators at the same level. If he cultivated the ethereal realm to a certain level, he could even use the way of illusion and reality to cultivate matter and power into a real space. Whoosh! Then he reached out and grabbed at the air. A dozen ice demons that were only a foot long emerged from the domain controlled by Su Fong and were caught by Su Fong. Then he shot out a flame, Xian Guang, and burned the ice demons to ashes. Heaven and earth have changed. Even the demons have become more aggressive. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. Heaven and earth had changed, and the fourth sun had risen. It had been almost 100 years. Although the demons were no longer in a berserk state, they had become more aggressive than before. When Su Fong passed through this ice and snow space-time in the past, only the environment was a little harsh. He was rarely attacked. However, this time, it was not only here. All the extraterritorial space-times he passed through along the way were constantly attacked by various monsters. Su Fong had no choice but to slow down. In the past, Su Fong used more than 20 years to rush to the Star Palace from the decaying water extreme land. He originally thought that it would take 3 to 5 years at most this time. He did not expect that it would still take him close to 20 years to arrive here. Fortunately, this place was not far from the Star Palace's secret training area called the Illusory Snowland. He would soon reach the Star Palace. Buzz, he suddenly sensed the life shrinking skill. A mysterious pattern flashed in his mind and condensed into the figure of the Green Feather Emperor. Green Feather Emperor. Su Fong was energized. He activated the feather fan with all his might, shattering the surrounding ice and gravel. He was like a fast boat riding the wind and breaking the waves as he sped forward. Half an hour later, the Green Feather Emperor, who had transformed into a giant rock demon, broke through the ice and snow shackles in the void with his wings. With a swoosh, he appeared in front of Su Fong and transformed into his human form. Green Feather Emperor, you are injured? Su Fongdao was shocked to see that the Green Feather Emperor was exhausted. His aura was weak, and there were many wounds on his body. With the Green Feather Emperor's current strength and talent, even if he did not have the power to fight against an ordinary Immortal Emperor expert, it would be easy for him to stay alive. He did not expect that he would be injured. Moreover, his injuries were not light. What surprised Su Fong even more was that the Green Feather Emperor's body carried a sharp sword essence of destruction. He was injured by Yin Xinxin's dual sword of destruction. This is a small injury. It is nothing. Let's talk about the important matters first. The Green Feather Emperor did not care about the injuries on his body and appeared to be very anxious. The Star Palace has been attacked by the Emperor Ning residents. The sect has been destroyed. Chapter 1304. Although the constellation of nine heavens was not as powerful as the Emperor Ning's mansion and the Tiandao immortal realm, it was still one of the top forces in the immortal realm. Moreover, the palace master of Star Palace had become an immortal emperor. With the support of the sect, even if the Tranquility Emperor himself took action, it was impossible to uproot the entire sect in just 20 years. The news brought back by the Cyan Feather Emperor surprised and shocked Su Fong. He found it hard to believe. It's the despicable Yin Sen Shin and the Huyen Shinrikyo who took advantage of the situation. The Cyan Feather Emperor gritted his teeth and said, "It turned out that the Emperor Ning's mansion attacked the Star Palace and besieged the sect. Even if the Tranquility Emperor took action personally, it was impossible to break the sect's defense in a short time. However, the constellation of nine heavens was trapped in the sect. It was only a matter of time before it was destroyed. The Star Palace and the Green Sky Myriad Scroll Door formed an alliance. However, the Green Sky Myriad Scroll Door pretended not to know about it at the critical moment. Just 2 years ago, the Yin Sun Shin sneaked into the Star Palace. No one knew how he persuaded the Huangfu elders of the Star Palace to secretly reach an agreement with the Huyen Shinrikyo to rescue the people of the Huangfu clan. However, when the Huangfu family opened the defensive formation and prepared to break out of the encirclement, they were met with Tranquility Emperor himself, the powerhouses of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion, and the Fiery Sun sect. Therefore, the defense of the constellation of nine heavens was breached. The Tranquility Emperor killed his way into the Star Palace like a hot knife through butter. No one could stop him. The Star Palace was completely destroyed. Except for the palace master who escaped from the Tranquility Emperor, all the higher-ups of the Star Palace were killed or captured alive by the Emperor Ning's mansion and the Huyen Shinrikyo. The disciples of the sect were also severely injured. Blood flowed like a river in the 9 Taoist temples. Almost no one escaped. Just like that, the sects that had stood tall in this immortal realm for millions of years became history. After the Star Palace was destroyed, the Green Feather Emperor snuck into the sect to find out the whereabouts of Out Yin Chanhen and the baby Huangfu. However, he was discovered. After a fierce battle, he was injured by Yin San Shin with the twin swords of destruction. After escaping from the sect, he was pursued by the residents of Tranquility Emperor and the Huyen Shinrikyo. He was only able to escape with the help of his space talent. Yin Sun Shin, if I had known, I would have killed you in the true dragon realm. Su Fong's eyes were filled with killing intent. Green Feather Emperor continued, Huangfu Dojo and Star Palace is now under the control of Huyen Shinrikyo. The Huangfu clan members are all locked up in Fuzin Cave in Tiger Subdue Valley. Baby Huangfu should be in there too. As for Ao Tianzhong Hen, his whereabouts are unknown. However, one thing is certain. He did not die in the war. He might have escaped from Star Palace. Su Fong fell into deep thought. Green Feather Emperor advised, "Are you thinking of entering Star Palace to save them?" Although Tranquility Emperor himself is not in Star Palace, he left behind an overlord doppelganger. His strength is unfathomable. Moreover, there are many experts in the residence of Tranquility Emperor and the Huyen Shinrikyo. Star Palace is like a tiger's den. I have to go to Star Palace. Su Fong did not hesitate and made a decision. Luo Yi reminded him through the blood jade in his body. Su Fong, you have to think carefully. With your overall strength, it is not difficult to enter Star Palace to save them. However, if you expose your strength too early, it will arouse the suspicion of the 8 immortal realms. You will even become the target of public criticism. Your overall strength is far from enough to contend with the 8 forces. The experts from the 8 forces had all gone to the true long world and never returned. If it was exposed that these experts had become Su Fong's slave experts, it would be strange if Su Fong did not gang up on him. Baby Huangfu helped me in the past. I have to save him. The grudge between Huangfu and Fei must also be resolved. In addition, I have to issue a letter of challenge to Yin Sun Shin and fulfill the Blood Oath battle contract. There's a more important purpose. You mean the alchemy experts of Huangfu clan? That's right. Huangfu Dojo is not the strongest among the 9 dojos in Star Palace. However, Huangfu clan's alchemy skills are the best in Star Palace. Many alchemy masters in Alchemy Dojo are from Huangfu clan. If they are recruited into True Long World to refine Yin Yang Immortal Sky elixir for me, I will not have to worry about elixirs in the future. Su Fang had been in Huangfu Dojo for many years. He naturally knew the ins and outs of Huangfu clan very well. Luo, he mocked and ridiculed. You really don't wake up early without benefits. You are obviously going for the alchemy masters, but you're using the pretense of saving people. Su Fang, I have to say that you are getting more and more despicable. Luo, haven't I been influenced by you all this time? One who is close to ink will be stained black. You should know this principle, right? Cough, cough. He kept Green Feather Emperor in the True Long World to heal his injuries. Su Fang put on the bronze mask and activated the fire-melting technique. His aura was that of a Huiyin Shinrikyo disciple. Then, he headed towards Star Palace. Shuttling through the ice and snow void, about 2 years later, a huge icicle-shaped frozen substance in the snowstorm appeared in front of Su Fang. He had arrived at the psychedelic snowland. Buzz, his consummate ability, sensed a familiar aura in the frozen substance in front of him. Then a rune in his body also moved. He took it out to take a look. A voice full of surprise came from his vital spirit. Su Fang, is it really you? Dai Yi. Su Fang did not expect to meet Dai Yi here again. He was pleasantly surprised. Senior, it is Su Fang. Why have you returned to the psychedelic snowland? Dai Yi's anxious voice came. Boy, come and help me quickly. I am in trouble in the underground ice cave. I have been bitten by several experts of Huiyin Shinrikyo. Below the frozen substance was layers of ice cave. Su Fang's consummate ability was blocked, so he did not sense that Dai Yi was in danger. Whoosh! Activating the wings of Fire Cloud, Su Fang turned into a flaming meteor and arrived at the frozen substance in an instant. He had no time to pay attention to the snowstorm, the waterfall formed by ice dregs, and other strange sights. He went straight into the ice cave. Soon, he saw Dai Yi surrounded by 3 Huiyin Shinrikyo experts. Her body was covered in wounds, and her hair was in a mess. She looked battered and exhausted, and her injuries were not light. You are also a disciple of our sect? Come and help us capture this demon. A Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivator was overjoyed when he sensed Su Fang's aura of the heaven and earth fire fusion art. Whoosh! Su Fang directly released Shi, Xian, leftover, Xian Chun, Xian Chuning, Xian Shovel. This is a demon emperor. Boom! Shi, Xian, questioning Wei and provoking punishment. Xian Mao, Yi, Muluo, Huang Dan, Xian Di Rui, Xian. Using his fist as an attack, he sent an elder-level expert of the Inferno Divine Sun sect flying with a single punch. Then, with another punch, he shattered another expert's Tao artifact. The power of his fist did not diminish as it directly smashed his opponent's head. The last expert turned around and was about to flee. Sure, Xian, subduing Yu Fei Yu Chong, Xian Di Mi, Kasai, Ishi, Xian Di Pan, Ishi, Xian Di Pai Shi, Xian Ting. What a ruthless and powerful resurrected big goblin. Dai Yi's delicate and cold face was filled with shock and astonishment. Su Fang cupped his fists. Senior, we meet again here. It seems that fate is not shallow. Who's fated with you? You're becoming more and more glib-tongued in front of me. Don't call me senior, call me big sister. Dai Yi finally regained her senses and glared at Su Fang. Su Fang said embarrassedly, Senior, why did you come back here? Could it be that you're feeling nostalgic after being sealed here for 100,000 years? Bah, who would want to come back here? It's all because of that damn bastard. In the end, he was chased here by Huiyin Shinrikyo experts. Why don't you use your yang energy to help me recover when you see that I'm injured? Dai Yi wasn't polite at all to Su Fang. Su Fang injected his yang energy into Dai Yi's body. Surprisingly, a special type of spirit energy also surged out from Dai Yi's body and entered Su Fang's body. However, nothing happened this time. He then took out the yin-yang immortal sky pellet and some other recovery pills. Dai Yi quickly recovered, and even her wounds showed signs of healing. World Immortal Realm? I heard that you've been killing everyone in the god-burying enclosure. You've swept through the Tranquil Emperor's estate, the Great Sheen Immortal Realm, and even the Tranquil Emperor's estate. You really are a heaven-defying monster. Dai Yi couldn't help but sigh as she recalled her experience of meeting Su Fong here. She then said without any trace of politeness, "You're so strong now. Seeing how well I treated you in the past, can I ask you for a favor? Save your old lover?" "Oh, what old lover? He's a mortal enemy. I'm going to find that bastard Ao Yin Changhen and cut him into pieces," Dai Yi said fiercely. This demon and Ao Yin Changhen really had an ill-fated relationship. Although Dai Yi spoke fiercely, Su Fong knew her feelings for Ao Yin Changhen. Otherwise, why would she risk her life to save Ao Yin Changhen? Su Fong felt admiration and said truthfully, "Senior Ao Yin isn't in the Star Palace right now. He must have escaped from the Star Palace." Dai Yi was obviously relieved. It's good that he's dead. Su Fong originally wanted to invite Dai Yi to cultivate in the Zhenlong realm. However, as soon as he showed the intention of recruiting her, Dai Yi immediately rejected him. "I like freedom by nature. I can't join any force. I'll ask for your help in the future. Bye." Whoosh. Dai Yi flashed out of the ice cave and disappeared in an instant. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly. "Xian? Shitty leg? Partridge Chang Luo Zhinichio? Zhinichio? Shameful? Ether Xian." In a nebula, a huge ancient relic in the shape of an ingot floated. The outer barrier was already broken, revealing the forests, rivers, and mountains on the material continent. Only 5 of the 9 towering peaks of the Star Palace were left. The rest were destroyed by supreme, supernatural powers in the war. The Star Palace had been breached for several years. At this time, one could still feel the soaring, murderous aura and the strong smell of blood. "The constellation of 9 heavens no longer exists," Su Fong sighed. "Who are you? How dare you spy on the Huayin Shinrikyo?" A cold shout was heard. Then, more than 10 Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators in flaming robes flew over and surrounded Su Fong. Su Fong secretly used the life shrinking technique and combined it with his perfect ability to sense the dojos in the Star Palace. At this time, in the Star Palace, there was the aura of the experts from the Tranquility Emperor's mansion. There were also many Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators and many Star Palace cultivators who were imprisoned in the caves of various dojos. On one of the peaks, there was a vague aura in a palace. It was so vast that it was almost impossible to sense it. It should be the Tranquility Emperor who was guarding the Star Palace. However, it should not be the Tranquility Emperor himself, but the so-called Overlord's doppelganger. On the familiar main peak of the Huangfu Dojo, there was also a familiar aura. It was no doubt Yin Sanshin. "If you don't tell us who you are, we will treat you as a survivor of the Star Palace and kill you on the spot." Being ignored by Su Fong, the Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators were furious. They all released their aura and looked ready to fight. "Are you blind? You don't even know who I am?" A fire elemental divine aura suddenly burst out from Su Fong's body. The heaven and earth fire melting palace was mixed with the divine aura of the illusory fire cloud. It immediately swept out and sent a dozen fire overflowing divine sun sect cultivators flying. "I have something to see Yin Sanshin. Get lost." Su Fong showed a token and then went straight to the Huangfu Dojo. He is a peerless expert from the sect. Chapter 1305. Su Fongda swaggered into the Star Palace. Along the way, he met many Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators. They were confused by Su Fong's aura of the Heaven and Earth Fire Palace. They would never have thought that someone would be so bold as to enter the Star Palace when it had just been destroyed. He went straight to the Huangfu Dojo. "Who are you? What business do you have in my dojo?" Su Fong recalled the past when he passed by the palace of Huangfu Fei's dojo. He stopped and shouted coldly, attracting the attention of the nearby Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators. A Huayin Shinrikyo cultivator who was a special disciple flew over and saw that Su Fong was acting suspiciously. I just came from the sect. I have an important matter to discuss with senior brother Yin Sanshin. Su Fong cupped his fists and bowed. I have never seen you in the sect. Take off your mask and let me see your real face. This special disciple was very alert. He was also a powerful figure. Su Fong took off his mask, revealing a face that could not be any more ordinary. While the Huayin Shinrikyo special disciple was puzzled, Su Fong's eyes shot out a black Xian Guang and hit the space between the man's eyebrows. Senior brother, I'm my junior brother. How can you not recognize me? Su Fong went forward to support the man with an affectionate look. The power of the second primordial spirit was so strong that it controlled the consciousness of the Huayin Shinrikyo disciple in an instant. After a moment of confusion, the man's eyes immediately showed joy. He said loudly, "So it's senior brother Fong. Come to my dojo and have a seat." Only then did the nearby cultivators leave one after another. Su Fong had a deep memory of Huang Fu Fei's palace. Because of Fairy Xuanxin, he was wantonly humiliated by Huang Fu Fei. That scene was unforgettable. At this moment, Xuanxin had already become his woman, and Huang Fu Fei. After entering the palace, Su Fong immediately asked about the process of Star Palace being breached. It turned out that Huayin Shinrikyo had been secretly communicating with the mansion of Emperor Ning for a long time. Tranquility Emperor attacked the Star Palace in person. However, the Star Palace had been prepared for this. What Emperor Ning's mansion did not know was that because Yin Sanshin had leaked the news to Huang Fu Fei in advance, Star Palace had made preparations in advance. When they were in a stalemate, Yin Sanshin, who had returned from the enclosure of gods, offered Tranquility Emperor some advice. Then, Yin Sanshin hid in the Star Palace and met with Huang Fu Fei. He persuaded the Huang Fu elders. As a result, not only were the Huang Fu clan wiped out, but also the Star Palace was breached. Yin Sanshin became famous because of this. Not only was he appreciated by Tranquility Emperor, but also the mansion of Emperor Ning and Huayin Shinrikyo divided the Star Palace. The resources of the three dojos that Huayin Shinrikyo obtained were all under Yin Senshin's control. At this moment, Yin Senshin controlled 1/3 of the resources and power of the Star Palace. His status suddenly soared, and he became the most powerful person in Huayin Shinrikyo. He was in charge of the Star Palace and enjoyed a lot of glory. And all the Huang Fu clan became Yin Senshin's prisoners and were locked up in the tiger-subduing valley. Huang Fu Fei, that bitch, would never have thought that she would be betrayed by Yin Sanshin in the end. Even the whole Huang Fu clan was betrayed. She asked for it. Su Fong was shocked by Yin Senshin's ruthlessness and shrewdness. However, he had no sympathy for Huang Fu Fei and the Huang Fu clan. Bring me to the tiger-subduing valley immediately. Yes, master. Phew. The two of them left the palace directly. Buzz. When they passed by the main peak of Huang Fu Dojo, his full cycle ability suddenly sensed a familiar aura below. Huang Fu Fei. Go down. Su Fong and the special disciples that were under his control flew to the ground. They were more than 10 miles away from Huang Fu Fei. At this distance, Su Fong's full cycle ability could easily see Huang Fu Fei's every move. Huang Fu Fei was wearing a plain robe. Her face had become thin, and her eyes had lost their usual coldness and valiance. She no longer looked superior. She looked very dispirited and depressed. Her aura was weak. It was obvious that her gold elixir was shackled, and she couldn't use her cultivation. Huang Fu Fei was stopped by the Huayin Shinrikyo disciples at the bottom of the main peak. She could only shout towards the top, "Brother Yin, on account of our past relationship, are you not even willing to meet me?" Huang Fu Fei, on account of our past relationship, not only did I not eliminate the Huang Fu clan, I even allowed you to walk freely. It's useless to meet now. You should go back and cure the Huang Fu clan elder. Let him surrender to me as soon as possible. Otherwise, the entire Huang Fu clan will be buried with the Star Palace. Yin Senshin's superior voice was heard. It was as if he was an emperor who ruled over everything. It was very domineering. Huang Fu Fei knelt on the ground and begged, "If you can remember our past relationship, please let go of my brother, baby Huang Fu." Yin Senshin's cold voice was heard. "If the Huang Fu clan still doesn't surrender, none of them will be left alive. As for our relationship, I didn't expect you, Huang Fu Fei, to be so ridiculous. How are you compared to Fairy Xuanxin? In the past, you were just a chess piece that was useful to me. Now that you have no value, what relationship do you have?" Yin Senshin, "I, Huang Fu Fei, was sincere to you, but you are so heartless. You are so cruel and merciless. You made me a sinner of the Huang Fu clan and the Star Palace. Now, you won't even let go of baby Huang Fu. I, Huang Fu Fei, will not forgive you even if I become a ghost." Huang Fu Fei shouted with grief and anger. She stood up shakily and turned to leave. "Idiot woman, what kind of person is Senior Yin? Why would he be interested in you? Although you are an idiot, you are beautiful. Senior Yin wouldn't be interested in you. Why don't we go and have some fun with her one day? You're just a pair of broken shoes. What's so fun about that?" The Huiyin Shinrikyo disciples' mocking and obscene voices came from behind. Puff! After walking for 5 to 6 miles, Huang Fu Fei spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed on the ground. "If you knew this day would come, why did you do it in the first place?" Su Fang's voice was heard. "Su Fang." Huang Fu Fei looked as if she was struck by lightning. Her whole body trembled, and she turned her head to look. She looked at Su Fang, who was like an ant in the past, standing in front of her like a god. She looked like a beggar that everyone despised. The contrast was so big that Huang Fu Fei was stunned. She felt as if she was in a dream. It was so unreal. "Su Fang, no. Mr. Su Fang, please save baby Huang Fu on account of the care she gave you in the past." Suddenly, Huang Fu Fei seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw. She knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly until her forehead started to bleed. "You humiliated me in the past. Then, you colluded with Yin Senshin and plotted to kill me many times. Even my Taoist companion, Fairy Xuanxin, was almost killed by you. Why should I help you?" Su Fang's voice was as cold as the cold wind in the snow. "Was I wrong? In the great immortal realm, the weak are prey to the strong. Who isn't vicious and merciless? For myself, for my brother, and for the Huangfu clan, was I wrong to do this? If I'm wrong, it's because I misjudged you. A cultivator who ascended from the lower realm can rise so quickly in just a few hundred years. I was blind and treated you like an ant. I was even more blind and misjudged Yin Senshin. I thought I could borrow his strength to become a powerful external helper for the Huangfu clan. Now that I've fallen to this state, it's because I was unlucky. It's not because I did anything wrong." Huang Fu Fei smiled bitterly and stood up. Su Fang was silent. Huang Fu Fei seemed to be right. "Kill me. I only beg you to bring the baby out of Star Palace." Huang Fu Fei closed her eyes and waited for death. She wanted to use her life in exchange for the baby Huang Fu's life. Kill. To kill or not to kill. After a moment of silence, Su Fang said faintly, "Now, you're not worthy for me to kill you. You're not going to kill me?" Huang Fu Fei wasn't surprised. Suddenly, Huang Fu Fei took off her Taoist robe and revealed her perfect body. Su Fang's heart thumped wildly. Luckily, he didn't have a nosebleed. "My life isn't worth you taking away, but my body can at least pique your interest. I'll do my best to let you enjoy the pleasure of a man and a woman that you've never experienced before in exchange for a promise from you. What do you think?" Huang Fu Fei wriggled her body and walked towards Su Fang with shocking charm and seduction. Su Fang suddenly raised his eyebrows. He grabbed Huang Fu Fei's Taoist robe and covered her body. Huang Fu Fei suddenly froze on the spot. The woman's final weapon had failed. Her confidence collapsed completely. "Baby Huang Fu is my friend. I sneaked into Star Palace to save him," Su Fang said coldly. He then continued, "Plus, I'll give you and the Huangfu clan another chance. I'll give you half a day to convince the Huangfu clan and the alchemy experts in the dojo. As long as they submit to Su Fang, not only will I bring them out of Star Palace, their status and treatment won't be lower than the previous Star Palace. Plus, I'll kill Yin Sun-shin to take revenge for Star Palace and Huangfu clan. Huangfu Fei couldn't believe it. Huangfu Dojo has a total of 70 to 80,000 people. There are also 10,000 disciples in the Huangfu clan. In addition to the alchemy experts in the dojo, how can you bring so many people out of Star Palace? It's up to you whether you believe it or not. You only have one chance. Su Fong left embarrassedly. Looking at Su Fong's back, Huangfu Fei's eyes were filled with ruthlessness and coldness. Then, she looked hesitant. Suddenly, Su Fong's primordial spirit's voice was heard. You could try telling Yin Sun-shin. Who knows? He might reward you with a bone. Huangfu Fei's face instantly turned pale when her thoughts were exposed. She shivered and her eyes were filled with fear. Back at the palace, Su Fong performed the life-shortening skill and combined it with his perfect ability to sense Changgu Immortal's aura. It turned out that Changgu Immortal and other experts of Star Palace were all imprisoned in Proud Sky Peak. There were about 1,000 of them. All of them were shackled in primordial spirit and gold core and were guarded by experts from Tranquility Emperor's mansion. It's a bit troublesome. Once Tranquility Emperor's avatar was alerted, it would cause a lot of trouble. Su Fong frowned and then relaxed. Changgu Immortal was one of the first elder subordinates. Now that Su Fong had so many experts under him, Changgu Immortal's strength was nothing. But he had to save them. Half a day passed in the blink of an eye. Su Fong changed into the Huiyin Shinrikyo disciple's flaming robe and followed the special disciple whose consciousness was controlled. They flew over a few mountains and came to a valley covered by dense forest. It was Tiger Valley. Su Fongda scanned the area with his perfect ability and found that there were about 60 to 70,000 people imprisoned in Tiger Valley. Most of them were disciples of Huangfu Dojo, and some were cultivators of Alchemy Dojo. He also sensed the aura of Huangfu Fei and Baby Huangfu, as well as the high-level members of the Fu family. They were in Zinning Cave. Yin Sun-shin controlled these people. Obviously, he wanted to make elixirs for him. It could be seen that he was ambitious. These elixir masters will be the main force of the Alchemy Dojo in Jinlong World. Now, I don't have to worry about the lack of elixir masters. Su Fong was excited. The special disciple whose consciousness was controlled had an extraordinary status in Huiyin Shinrikyo. No one dared to stop him. Chapter 1306. Huangfu Elder. Huangfu Fei must have told you. Have you thought it through? Do you want to submit to me, Su Fong, or stay here and become a slave of the Yin Sun-shin? Su Fong said with his primordial spirit, submit to you? Hesitation appeared on Elder Huangfu's face. How could Elder Huangfu accept that the Huangfu family had to submit to a former disciple with a different surname? Previously, Elder Huangfu was high and mighty like an ant in his eyes. However, the Huangfu elder could never accept being a slave of the Yin Sun-shin. Su Fong continued, submit to me, and I can promise you that you will be in charge of my alchemy field. The status of the Huangfu clan in the future will be beyond your imagination. You can make the decision. I won't give you too much time to think about it. After hesitating and struggling for a while, the Huangfu elder said decisively, even if the Huangfu clan is willing to submit to you, how can you bring so many people out of the Star Palace? You don't have to worry about that, Huangfu elder, Su Fong said with a smile. He secretly asked the Huiyin Shinrikyo disciples who were under his control to guard the entrance of the cave. Then he released 10 celestial emperors to attack the Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators in the cave. So many celestial emperors. Not only the Huangfu elder, but Huangfu Fei and Baby Huangfu were also completely shocked. The 10 celestial emperors released the power of their realms and covered the entire cave. In less than 5 breaths, more than 100 Huiyin Shinrikyo disciples in the cave were all killed. It didn't even make a sound. He asked the Huangfu elder to gather all the higher-ups and core members of the Huangfu clan in the cave. Then, he took them all into the True Dragon world and sent them to the alchemy field that was under construction. The Huangfu clan was shocked again and turned into stone statues. Unexpectedly, really unexpectedly, they had no choice but to submit to Su Fong. Which of the higher-ups of the Huangfu clan would be convinced? After witnessing Su Fang's real strength, the higher-ups of the Huangfu clan realized that they were a bunch of frogs at the bottom of the well. Su Fang's current strength was beyond their imagination. If it wasn't for the baby Huangfu and the Huangfu clan's alchemy skills, Su Fang wouldn't have helped them. Huangfu clan used to be one of the pillars of the Star Palace, but in Su Fang. As for Huangfu Fei, one could imagine how he felt. This woman's mind was extraordinary. While she was shocked, she also had other thoughts. She decided that for the future of the Huangfu family and herself, she had to win Su Fang's favor no matter what. The body was a woman's best weapon. Huangfu Fei was very confident in her body. She didn't believe that Su Fang wouldn't be tempted. The most excited person was baby Huangfu, the heartless baby snoring. His clan used to treat him like trash. Now, even the Huangfu clan elder and his mother had to be polite in front of him. He was Su Fang's brother after all. If it wasn't for him, the entire Huangfu clan would end up as Yin Senshin's slaves. Inside the hidden Tiger Valley, Su Fang walked out of the hidden Sin Cave. He met with some trouble outside. He had just rescued a few alchemy experts when he was discovered by the Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators. In the battle, Su Fang showed his decisive and ruthless side. He sent out his experts and Big Goblin. He cut the Gordian knot and went on a killing spree. At the same time, he used the demonic blood plate. Together with the life-shrinking technique, he covered the aura within 10 miles of the hidden Tiger Valley. There weren't many experts among the Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators guarding the hidden Tiger Valley. How could they be a match for Su Fang's experts? In less than 10 breaths, thousands of Huayin Shinrikyo cultivators were killed. Su Fang directly sent the imprisoned Star Palace cultivators into the Jinlong world. These cultivators had their primordial spirits and golden elixirs shackled. They had no ability to resist. This saved Su Fang a lot of effort and time. Who dares to behave atrociously under my nose? An angry roar could be heard. Yin Senshin was on the main peak of Huangfu. He sensed that the aura in the hidden Tiger Valley was abnormal. He flew over. A large number of Huayin Shinrikyo experts also followed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fang kept the demonic blood plate. His experts were also quickly sent into the Jinlong world. Whoosh. Then Su Fang quickly entered the Jinlong world. In an instant, the Jinlong world shrunk into a speck of dust and fell on the ground. Even if Tranquility Emperor himself was there, he wouldn't be able to discover the existence of the Jinlong world. After a while, Yin Senshin arrived, seeing the scene in front of him. Who is it? Boom! An earth-shattering roar could be heard. An astonishing sword essence of destruction burst out and swept in all directions. The corpses on the ground, as well as everything within a 10-kilometer radius, suddenly shattered and turned into dust. The mountain range also collapsed. Yin Senshin activated the dual swords of destruction and released the divine might of destruction. Its power was amazing. Search. Even if you have to search every corner of the Star Palace, you have to find him. I don't believe that with so many people, could it be that he disappeared without a trace? Yin Senshin's eyes were burning with anger and his face was distorted. He had just taken the first step to realize his ambition. Now, he encountered such an inexplicable thing. It was like a blow to his head, but he had nowhere to vent his anger. The Star Palace, which had been baptized by the flames of war, was once again in turmoil. It was chaotic and bustling. Huayin Shinrikyo had been busy for several days. Even the doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor was alarmed. He sent experts from Tranquility Emperor's mansion to thoroughly search the Star Palace and the surrounding void. In the end, they didn't even find a single hair. In the end, they had to give up. Yin Senshin suffered a loss and was ridiculed by Tranquility Emperor's mansion. He was very depressed. Before the disturbance caused by this bizarre incident died down, another strange incident occurred in the Star Palace. After the Star Palace was destroyed, Huayin Shinrikyo obtained a large amount of resources from the Star Palace. Among them, they obtained countless elixir refining materials from the alchemy dojo. Some of the precious elixir refining materials were naturally kept in storage rings. As for the ordinary ones, they were sealed in the secret vault of the alchemy dojo because there were too many of them. In one night, enough elixir refining materials to pile up into a mountain disappeared without a trace. The secret vault was so empty that even a mouse couldn't hide in it. Yin Sunshin was furious again. He killed several Huiyin Shinrikyo disciples who didn't do their jobs well. Jinlong World. Phew! Su Fang's original body appeared in the equipment refining dojo. Greetings, Master. The elixir refining experts that Su Fang had subdued a long time ago bowed to Su Fang. Greetings, Master. The Huangfu elder hesitated for a moment. In the end, he gave up his pride and lowered his head to Su Fang. You will be in charge of the alchemy dojo for the time being. You are still the elder of the alchemy dojo. These are the elixirs and cauldrons for the yin-yang immortal sky elixir. Immediately gather everyone to refine the yin-yang immortal sky elixir. I won't pursue what happened in the past. You just have to remember that as long as you are willing to work for me, Su Fang, you can get status, skills, artifacts, cultivation resources. As long as you are willing to work for me, you can get anything. If you have other thoughts that you shouldn't have, I won't keep idle people around. Su Fang used a rune talisman and took out 4 supreme gray cauldrons. Each cauldron had a profound aura. Then, he took out a mountain of elixir refining materials. The Huangfu elders, the Huangfu disciples, and the elixir refining experts were all stunned. Baby, come here. He called Baby Huangfu to the side. Su Fang, I don't have to call you master, right? Baby Huangfu said in a trembling voice. Don't pretend with me. Do you think I, Su Fang, don't know what kind of person you are? No matter what, we will always be friends and brothers, Su Fang said with a smile as he punched Baby Huangfu's chest. Wow, I've finally made a name for myself. With such a powerful brother like you, I'll be able to do whatever I want in the future. Baby Huangfu jumped up and gave Su Fang a bear hug. This clown. The Huangfu family had gone through such a big change, but he hadn't changed at all. Baby Huangfu moved closer to Su Fang and whispered in his ear, Su Fang, are you interested in being my brother-in-law? Su Fang glanced at Huangfu Fei, who was cowering in the back. Recalling his naked appearance that day, Su Fang's heart skipped a beat. This idea of Huangfu Bao Bao. Then, Su Fang shook off his distracting thoughts and said decisively, That's impossible. I, Su Fang, already have a Dao partner. I can't have anything to do with other women. Tell your sister that I won't kill her because she's your brother. But if she has any other thoughts, don't blame me, Su Fang, for being ruthless. Su Fang was relieved that he had finally settled the matter of the elixir refining Dao field. It wouldn't be long before Wang Yuzhen would bring the treasures and elixirs produced by the True Dragon Realm's elixir refining Dao field and the elixir refining Dao field to the Immortal Realm in exchange for a large amount of resources. In order to become a dominant force, strength alone was far from enough. Without strong financial support, no matter how powerful a force was, it would collapse. About 3 months later, the hidden Tiger Valley, which had been turned into ruins, suddenly moved in the thick dust. Then, a speck of dust floated up and turned into a 1-foot-wide lotus seed. Whoosh! Su Fang's figure flew out of the True Dragon Realm. He scanned the surroundings with his consummate power and found no one. He changed into a flaming Taoist robe and activated the fire fusion technique of heaven and earth. He revealed the aura of Huiyin Shinrikyo and flew into the sky. Junior brother, come here and talk. A Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivator was flying out of the Star Palace alone. He was stopped by Su Fang, who had disguised himself. Senior brother, what's the matter? The cultivator was surprised but didn't take any precautions. Second primordial spirit shot out from his eyes and broke through the cultivator's divine aperture defense. Then, he used Night Demon's method to control his consciousness. Half a day later, Su Fang used the same method to control more than 20 Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators who were alone. One of them was a Grand Elder. A group of people went straight to the Proud Sky Peak. Whoosh! As soon as they arrived above the Proud Sky Peak, a master of the Emperor Ning's mansion came to interrogate them. The Proud Sky Peak is under the control of the Emperor Ning's mansion. Many masters of the Star Palace are imprisoned here. What are the Huiyin Shinrikyo disciples doing here? the leading Huiyin Shinrikyo Grand Elder suddenly released a blast of amazing firepower. The surrounding area was turned into a fiery domain. By the decree of Yin Sun Shin, the Emperor Ning's mansion is expelled from the Star Palace. The Huiyin Shinrikyo Grand Elder roared, and his voice shook the surroundings. Then, he used his firepower to surround the three masters of the Emperor Ning's mansion. The Yin Sun Shin is crazy. How dare they attack the Emperor Ning's mansion? The other masters of the Emperor Ning's mansion were shocked and angry. They used their momentum to fight the Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators. Whoosh! Whoosh! Masters of the Emperor Ning's mansion rushed out from below. What no one noticed was a tiny dust that was invisible to the naked eye slipped down from the robe of the Huiyin Shinrikyo Grand Elder and flew directly to the proud sky peak. Then it slipped in through the crack of the bounded domain. Chapter 1307. The experts of Emperor Ning's mansion guarding the proud sky peak were very powerful, and one of them was a peerless expert in the realm of immortals. In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, the 20 or so fire-overflowing divine sun sect cultivators whose consciousnesses had been controlled were all killed. Yin Sun Shin came in a hurry. Yin Sun Shin, how dare you challenge Emperor Ning's mansion? The Emperor of Emperor Ning's mansion shouted angrily. The other cultivators of Emperor Ning's mansion were also full of killing intent. The destruction of Star Palace made everyone in Emperor Ning's mansion more domineering. Now they were challenged, which was tantamount to a declaration of war. Who could bear it? It's strange. I'll explain it to Tranquility Emperor. Yin Xinshin said calmly, like an overlord of a region. Humph, don't think you can be arrogant and ambitious just because Emperor Ning appreciates you. How dare you challenge the supreme Emperor Ning's mansion? This king can't stand sinister villains like you the most. It's best that you manage the cultivators under you. If there's a next time, not only will this king take back the Tao right in your hands, I'll also destroy your fire-overflowing divine sun sect. The Emperor of Emperor Ning's mansion was so arrogant that he almost slapped Yin Sun Shin in the face. The other experts of Emperor Ning's mansion also looked at Yin Sun Shin disdainfully and sneered at him. Thank you for your advice. Yin Sun Shin will bear it in mind. Yin Sun Shin's expression didn't change, which showed how shrewd he was. You're really Yin Nushin. The Emperor of Emperor Ning's mansion showed contempt, and the other experts of Emperor Ning's mansion laughed at him again. On the altar of Jinlong World, Yin Sun Shin was humiliated by Su Fong as Yin Nushin. Only the experts of Huiyin Shinrikyo knew about it. Over the years, Yin Sun Shin was very powerful in Huiyin Shinrikyo, which attracted a lot of jealousy. The fact that he was called Yin Nushin by Su Fong was secretly spread by the experts of Huiyin Shinrikyo. Now it had spread all over the immortal world, and even the people of Emperor Ning's mansion knew about it. But no one dared to mention it in front of Yin Sun Shin. At this time, Yin Xianxian turned around. His eyes flashed with an intense annihilation sword intent. His handsome face was distorted. The anger in his heart had reached its peak. A gush of blood rushed to his throat, but he forcefully suppressed it. A series of strange things have happened. Could it be that he has encountered some evil chi? Aye, he said. In the end, I will rise up in this immortal realm, becoming an unparalleled expert, dominating an entire region. I will endure this humiliation. Emperor Ning's mansion. The recent strange things must be caused by them. In today's humiliation, I, Yin Sun Shin, will remember all. I'll pay you back 100 times in the future. While Yin Sun Shin was being humiliated by the experts of Emperor Ning's mansion, Jinlong World quietly landed in a deserted valley on Proud Sky Peak. He came out of Jinlong World and released Wooling Goblin, which was swallowed by Wooling Goblin. He activated his divine power of Earth and performed the divine life shortening technique to cover the breath of Wooling Goblin. In this way, even Emperor Ning couldn't sense the breath of Wooling Goblin. Wooling Goblin turned into a stone belt and climbed quickly to the main peak of Proud Sky Peak along the cracks of the rocks. Some of the experts of Emperor Ning's mansion, guarding the outside of Proud Sky Peak, were attracted by the cultivators of Huiyin Shinrikyo. The rest of them were attracted by the noise in the air, so they didn't sense the existence of Wuling Goblin. Therefore, Wuling Goblin sneaked into the Taoist field without them noticing. Su Fong had left a mark on Immortal Changgu's primordial spirit. Therefore, Su Fong easily sensed where he was with the divine life-shortening technique. He was not in the palace of Proud Sky Peak Taoist field, but in a cave. Whoosh! Wuling Goblin slipped into the cave through the cracks of the rocks at the top. The experts of Emperor Ning's mansion, guarding the entrance, couldn't sense it at all. It was a cold and gloomy underground cave. This was where Proud Sky Changhen was imprisoned. At this time, more than 300 cultivators were imprisoned in the cave. They were all experts above the elders of Star Palace. Su Fong was familiar with Immortal Changgu, Yuling Tian, and other people. However, some of the higher-ups of Star Palace that Su Fong had seen before were nowhere to be seen. They must have died in the battle. However, there were 3 cultivators of Star Palace in the middle of the crowd. They were all celestial emperors. One of them had reached the 9th path realm of 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 realm. Su Fong had never seen him before. Immortal Changgu, Su Fong said with his primordial spirit. Immortal Changgu, who was sitting there dejectedly and waiting for death, suddenly became spirited. He was surprised and shocked. Master, you came to save me in person. Immortal Changgu was surprised and almost burst into tears. With such a master, he wouldn't frown even if he had to die for him. Be careful. Don't let others see through you, Su Fong quickly reminded him. Immortal Changgu then calmed down and replied with his primordial spirit, Master, can you save all the people here while you're at it? Yes, but they must submit to me. Communicate with them secretly. Don't tell them my identity for the time being, in case they can't accept it. Su Fong sneaked into Proud Sky Peak this time. He didn't plan to save anyone, but now he changed his mind. All the people of Star Palace imprisoned here were experts. Saving them was a piece of cake. It could also strengthen the overall strength of Star Palace. Immortal Changgu immediately contacted Yuling Tian secretly. The latter was immediately shocked. After repeatedly asking Immortal Changgu and getting a definite answer, Yuling Tian contacted the 3 celestial emperors. After a secret discussion, he finally gave Immortal Changgu a clear answer. Immortal Changgu then secretly replied to Su Fong. They said that Master risked his life to save me. It shows that Master is not only powerful, but also loyal. However, although Star Palace is destroyed, the cultivators of Star Palace would rather die than submit. If Master saves them, they are willing to serve Master for 1,000 years to repay your kindness. Su Fong didn't expect that the former higher-ups of Star Palace would be so arrogant. He couldn't help but be surprised. After thinking for a moment, he decisively agreed. Okay. He was about to show up and save them. More than 10 cultivators of Emperor Ning's mansion arrogantly walked into the cave and took away more than 30 experts of Star Palace. Immortal Changgu was also among them. Su Fong asked with his primordial spirit, Immortal Changgu, where are these people being taken to? I'm not too sure either, but every time someone was taken away, they never came back. It's clear that their lives are in danger. Master, you have to save me. Long Valley Immortal replied. He was afraid that he would be like those people before and never come back. Su Fong transmitted his voice. Don't worry. I'll save these cultivators of Star Palace. Then I'll save you. Immortal Changgu and the other cultivators of Star Palace were taken out of the cave, and the cave entrance was sealed again. Only then did Su Fong allow Black Ridge Demon Monarch to leap down. Black Ridge Demon Monarch transformed into his demon form and spat out Su Fong. You're Huangfu Shaoying, no, you're Su Fong. Su Fong's appearance shocked Yuling Tian and the other higher-ups of Star Palace. Su Fong didn't know. Gather? On Huangdan? Ascaria, Xian, Huangge, Guanghu Xian, Ji. Whether you're willing or not, since I saved you, you have to fulfill your promise and served Su Fong for 1,000 years. Su Fong's eyes were like torches, exuding a domineering aura. He was no longer the disciple that the higher-ups of Star Palace had in mind. While Yang Xian was settling the experts of Star Palace, Su Fong's body collapsed and turned into a blood ribbon, passing through the crack of the enchantment at the entrance of the cave. The two cultivators of Emperor Ning's mansion, who were guarding the entrance of the cave, were shocked when they saw the blood ribbon coming out of the enchantment. Before they could react, the blood ribbon split into two and wrapped around them. In a flash, they were corroded and devoured. Su Fong sensed immortal Changgu's aura with his great fulfillment ability and followed him all the way. Water flowed down from the top of the cave and converged into a small stream on the ground. Su Fong released the water spirit, Shui Yuan Ling, and entered her body. Following the flow, they came to an underground lake. This was a huge underground karst cave. The spiritual energy in the karst cave was unusually rich, and there were 2 cave residences built. It seemed that Outyin Chonghen's 2 disciples used to cultivate. As soon as Su Fong entered the karst cave, his great fulfillment ability sensed a vast emperor's aura in the karst cave. This emperor's aura not only carried an unparalleled domineering aura and was extremely pure, but also carried a kind of supreme luck. It was like a mortal emperor who was born to be a noble, with purple energy covering his head. He saw a 10-year-old child. Because the strange emperor's aura was too strong, it affected Su Fong's great fulfillment ability, and he couldn't sense his cultivation level. He sat cross-legged in the middle of the karst cave. The more than 30 Star Palace cultivators who were brought here were divided into 2 groups. One group was shackled and sat around the child, covered by the emperor's aura. Wisps of faint purple energy that was hard to see with the naked eye emerged from the top of the Star Palace cultivators' heads. They gathered together and became dense, turning into a gust of purple energy that was inhaled by the child's nostrils. The Star Palace cultivators looked like they were in pain. Their aura quickly became weak, and they became like mortals. Su Fong asked Luo in the blood jade in his body, "Luo, do you know what he is doing?" Every cultivator has the ability to transcend the mortal world step by step through cultivation. If they don't have great luck, they won't be able to reach this step at all. This expert who looks like a child should be engulfing the cultivation and fate of the cultivators from Star Palace to cultivate a supreme martial skill. Who is this person? How can he master such a horrible and evil cultivation method? If you want to save Changgu immortal, you'd better be prepared for a fierce battle. Be ready to let the monsters and gorilla demons come out at any time. Su Fongdao was shocked. Is this person at this moment? How dare a water elemental demon spy on my cultivation? The child suddenly said and opened his eyes. His eyes were shining with purple light. He looked at the water elemental demon who had merged with the lake water. This child was the top expert of this immortal realm, Tranquility Emperor. Chapter 1308. Unexpectedly. He didn't expect to meet Tranquility Emperor's avatar here. What surprised Su Fong was that Tranquility Emperor's aura was very different from the one that Su Fong sensed when he sneaked into the Star Palace a few days ago. He was careless. This time, he sneaked into the Star Palace as if he was in a deserted place. Therefore, Su Fong lost his vigilance. If he had used the life-shortening technique in advance, he wouldn't have encountered Tranquility Emperor's avatar here. Besides, although the water elemental spirit had a special ability, it was still inferior to the earth ability of the Wooling Goblin. Besides, Su Fong didn't use his divine power of water or the life-shortening technique to cover his aura. Therefore, it was not strange that Tranquility Emperor noticed him when he was so close to him. A voice came from the blood jade in Luo Zai's body. What? Are you afraid of the famous Tranquility Emperor in this immortal land? Afraid? Tranquility Emperor? So what? From the small world to the grand immortal realm, I, Su Fong, had met many powerful cultivators. But in the end, all of them were trampled under my feet. Tranquility Emperor would be my stepping stone to reach the peak of the world. What's more, he was just a doppelganger. How could I be afraid? I'm just a little surprised. Su Fong responded aggressively. He was burning with fighting spirit. He had killed one of immortal Emperor Tian Ang's avatars. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of Tranquility Emperor's avatar at all. Instead, he wanted to fight against Tranquility Emperor's avatar. This avatar of Tranquility Emperor is different from the one you killed in the Jinlong world. This avatar is much more powerful than it looks. Although the monster of Immortal and Devil and the Gorb Demon are powerful, they haven't even recovered 1/10 of their original strength. They can barely fight against him if they join hands. Besides, this is the territory of Tranquility Emperor's mansion and Huayin Shinrikyo. It's also a problem for them to escape. Fight! In a split second, Tranquility Emperor raised his hand and pointed at the water elemental spirit. Why don't you surrender to me? An invisible divine power shrouded the water elemental spirit, making it unable to move. With a whoosh, the water elemental spirit was pulled out of the water and fell on the shore. Those who offend this emperor's supreme dignity die. Tranquility Emperor said with purple light burning in his eyes. White smoke came out from Shui Yuanling's body, and her breath of life was fading away. Whoosh! Shui Yuanling opened her mouth in pain. Whoosh! It turned out that Su Fong had already released him from Shui Yuanling's body. At this moment, he burst out an amazing and weird aura of Immortal and Devil, which shattered the momentum of Emperor Tranquility that shrouded the Kar's cave. Then he rushed towards the incarnation of Emperor Tranquility like a flash of lightning. Next, Su Fong came out from Shui Yuanling's body and hurriedly returned to his body. In order to not expose his identity, Su Fong not only used his physical body's ability to change his appearance and wear a mask, he also circulated the demonic energy within his golden core origin, making him look like a demonic Tao cultivator. Boom! Boom! More than a dozen powerhouses of the Emperor Ning's mansion, who had rushed over to stop the monster, were blown away by the horrible momentum of the monster. All of them were seriously injured and spat out blood. An immortal emperor. This aura is similar to an immortal emperor, yet not at the same time. What a strange immortal emperor. No wonder the strange things that happen in Huayin Shinrikyo were caused by you. Emperor Tranquility's eyes were filled with astonishment. If I want your body to be broken, you will die without a trace. Mantra of the Overlord. Emperor Tranquility launched a Dharma seal at the monster. Then, a purple golden palm slapped towards the monster. An amazing Emperor Divine aura burst out, as if heaven and earth were going to surrender under this supreme, domineering aura. The palm not only carried a horrible power that could break everything, but also a strong willpower, which seemed to be above the heavenly Tao. Every word of Emperor Tranquility would come true immediately. If he wanted you to live, you would live. If he wanted you to die, you would die. It was the mantra of the Overlord, the supreme supernatural power of the Overlord Heaven technique. Boom! The monster was knocked back 10 meters, but Emperor Tranquility remained still. Puff! 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 The monster's clothes turned into ashes quickly. Then his body was not damaged at all. His body was the combination of Tsang, Huan, Immortal Venerable, and Demon Venerable Ancient Netherworld. How could an immortal emperor hurt him? What a strange, genuine chi. What a strong body. Emperor Tranquility said in surprise. Then he stood up from the ground and looked at the monster again. As for Su Fong, Emperor Tranquility didn't even take a look at him. How could he, the supreme Emperor Tranquility, care about a demon cultivator who had just stepped into the world immortal realm? I want you to lose all your senses. Your world will be in darkness. As Emperor Tranquility uttered another mantra of the Overlord, there seemed to be a mysterious force that shrouded the monster and made him lose his senses temporarily. Then, Emperor Tranquility launched another Dharma seal. A purple golden Dharma seal fell on the monster's body. Puff! A bloody hole appeared on the monster's chest. However, with his strong body, the wound that could seriously injure an ordinary immortal emperor was nothing to him. Kill! A chilling voice filled with killing intent came from the immortal demon monster's mouth as it charged forward again. More than 10 experts of Emperor Tranquility's mansion who had been injured by the monster just now burst out their auras and came to besiege Su Fong. In their opinion, they could deal with a demon cultivator even if they couldn't deal with an immortal emperor. Goblet Devil, go! Su Fong released a huge Goblet Devil and spurted out a horrible goblet poison, which swept over the experts of Emperor Tranquility's mansion like a tidal wave. After a series of miserable screams, the chi of a ninth Dao realm immortal was shattered and turned into a pool of blood. What a horrible Goblet Devil! Are you from the demon realm? Emperor Tranquility's mansion and the demon race have an agreement that we won't offend each other. Why did you sneak into the territory of Emperor Tranquility's mansion? Emperor Tranquility was shocked and asked in a low voice. How? The Goblet Devil answered Emperor Tranquility's question with a roar. Its huge body rushed out and joined hands with the monster to fight against Emperor Tranquility. Longu Immortal and the other cultivators of the Star Palace were already stunned. They were like stone statues. Master, you've already become so powerful. Those are two peerless immortal emperors, two peerless experts who are equivalent to immortal emperors. Immortal Longu's mind was blank. He had long known that Su Fong's overall strength was abnormally strong, but he never expected it to be to this extent. Su Fong took Immortal Changgu and the other cultivators of Star Palace into the Jinlong world. Then he looked at the other side. Emperor Tranquility was very powerful, and he had mastered the Tyrannical Emperor's mantra, the Tyrannical Emperor's heaven-soaring technique. However, he was obviously restrained by something and couldn't use all of his power. He was suppressed by the monster and the Goblet Devil and was forced to retreat. Stop! Emperor Tranquility shouted coldly after he forced the monster and the Goblet Devil back with a strong chi. Su Fong said coldly, What else do you want to say, Emperor Tranquility? Tranquility Emperor said, It turns out that this monster that is neither immortal nor demon and this Gorb demon are both under your control. Which demon emperor do you work for? Are you here in Star Palace to start a war with Emperor Tranquility's mansion? Su Fong sneered. The demon army has arrived. It's only a matter of time before they sweep across the immortal realm. Emperor Tranquility's mansion is nothing to them. You are just a doppelganger of Emperor Tranquility. So what if I kill you? The demon army has arrived in this immortal realm? Emperor Tranquility's expression suddenly changed. Then he sneered disdainfully. Even if the demon emperor comes here in person, he wouldn't dare to be arrogant in front of me. You are just a small demon cultivator who controls two monsters in the demon realm. How dare you behave wildly in front of me? If I hadn't reached the critical moment of cultivating the tyrannical emperor's heaven-soaring technique, how could this doppelganger of the overlord, who is still a child, be suppressed? Luo reminded him in the Blood Jade, Be careful. This doppelganger of Emperor Tranquility is going to show his real power. Suddenly, a strong emperor's chi burst out from Emperor Tranquility's body and covered the whole Karst cave. The supreme chi condensed and formed a domain. The body of the incarnation of Tranquility Emperor, which was like a child, was growing taller and taller with a burst of crackling sounds. It turned into a 30-meter tall giant with a strong, domineering aura and a peerless momentum. Its aura was several times stronger than before. Su Fong asked Luo in the Blood Jade, Luo, why did Emperor Tranquility's doppelganger's power suddenly soar? If I'm not wrong, this doppelganger of Emperor Tranquility has cultivated a unique magic skill similar to the planting method of the demon race. But instead of entering a cultivator's body to devour and merge with the cultivator's body, he used the whole remains of Star Palace as the embryo and merged himself into it. Finally, he not only completely controlled the territory of Star Palace, but also benefited greatly from the improvement of his own power. Just now, he devoured the star chi and fate of the cultivators of Star Palace, so that he could merge with Star Palace better. What an evil magic skill! Su Fong's back was covered with cold sweat. Evil? There is no distinction between evil and righteousness in magic skills. The key lies in the cultivator. This magic skill should be from the tyrannical emperor's heaven-soaring technique. It's quite extraordinary. You'd better figure out a way to deal with Emperor Tranquility, whose power has soared. At that moment, Tranquility Emperor seemed to be integrated with the Kars Cave and even the whole Star Palace. His will was above the heavenly way. Every grass, every tree, every person, and every object in the vast remains of Star Palace had to surrender to him and obey his orders. He even had a part of the will of Star Palace in his body, which made him as powerful as the heavenly way. I am the tyrannical emperor. My will is above the heavenly way. As soon as Tranquility Emperor's majestic voice faded away, a shadow of Star Palace appeared. In the shadow, one could vaguely see the whole picture of the remains of Star Palace. 9 shocking mountains, forests, mountains, and many illusory figures could be seen. A horrible divine power of shackles was released and shrouded Su Fong, the monster and the Gorb demon. This divine power of shackles came from the void, the earth, everything in the Star Palace, and the will of Star Palace. That was to say, as long as the powerful cultivators of Star Palace cultivated in the Star Palace, they would spread the will and the power of faith in this space. At this moment, Tranquility Emperor's clone of Overlord had replaced a part of the will of Heavenly Way to control this space and become the absolute dominator of Star Palace. Even though Su Fong's body had reached the perfect realm, he still couldn't resist this divine power of shackles. His bones cracked, and his skin cracked, with blood gushing out. The giant Gorb demon directly lay on the ground and couldn't stand upright. The monster was a little better, but its power was suppressed, and it couldn't fight against Tranquility Emperor's clone of Overlord. This was the horrible part of Overlord's heaven-conquering technique. When one cultivated it to the extreme, his will would be above the heavenly way, which could suppress any divine power and take away his will. In the end, he would be controlled by Tranquility Emperor. Tranquility Emperor shouted coldly, "At this moment, I'm the heavenly way of Star Palace. Who can go against the heavenly way? Even devil emperors have to surrender to me under my divine power of will, let alone you. Humph! I'll perform the soul-searching technique on you and see which devil emperor you are from. I have to thank you. I'll tame these 2 monsters. From now on, I'll have 2 more powerful immortal emperors under my command." Ha ha ha! Chapter 1309. The doppelganger of the Overlord Emperor of the Tranquility Emperor performed the heaven-defying technique of the Overlord Emperor. His aura soared to the sky, and his willpower spread in all directions. He controlled the life and death of all living things in the Star Palace, including Su Fong, the monsters of immortals and demons, and the Gormless demons. Tranquility Emperor, who had shocked the whole immortal realm, really deserved his reputation. This was just an avatar. If he came here in person, how horrible would he be? Puny evil cultivator, your life and death are controlled by me. Your fate is also decided by me. Your willpower and everything you have must submit to me. Kneel down now. Tranquility Emperor shouted coldly. The shadow of the Star Palace above Su Fong's head, which contained the belief and willpower of the Star Palace, swarmed towards Su Fong, trying to destroy Su Fong's willpower and force him to submit. I, Su Fong, have a Taoist heart as firm as a rock and a willpower as strong as iron. How can I submit to someone else's willpower? Su Fong sneered in his heart. Then, in Su Fong's mind, there was a faint sound of thunder. Fate and fortune control the mysteries of heaven. If I want to live, heaven can't take it away. Fate and fortune control the mysteries of heaven. If I want to live, heaven can't live without me. Fate and fortune control the mysteries of heaven. If I'm destroyed, everything will be broken. The thunder of fate. Su Fong used the life-shortening art of Tianji to chant the profound meaning of the thunder of destiny with his primordial spirit. The profound meaning of the thunder of destiny was transformed into the intangible aura of Tao, which condensed into the soundless thunder of destiny. The thunder of destiny clashed with the divine will of the overbearing emperor. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The willpower of Tranquility Emperor, which was above the heavenly Tao, was instantly burned and disappeared. The divine of fate and life shortening technique was a super magic that could restrain fate and belief. Any willpower would be crushed. However, Su Fong also suffered a great loss. He didn't dare to use the thunder of fate to attack Tranquility Emperor directly. Instead, he used it for defense. However, the divine power of Tranquility Emperor's willpower was too strong. It merged with the relics of Star Palace and displayed the divine power of his willpower. It represented this territory, the heaven and earth, everything in this world, and the belief and willpower of countless experts in Star Palace. After all, Su Fong was only one person. It was imaginable how much pressure he had to bear. Activating the Thunder of Destiny this time had cost Su Fong 5,000 years of his lifespan. Fortunately, Su Fong had just reached the world immortal realm, so this amount of lifespan was still within his acceptable range. His hair was a little white, and his face looked like he was in his 30s or 40s. What kind of divine ability is this? How can it restrain this emperor's will? That's impossible. How could an evil cultivator who has just stepped into the world immortal realm perform such an amazing magic skill? Tranquility Emperor's eyes were filled with shock and horror. His tyrant's true body was actually unable to suppress a devil Dao cultivator. Just how inconceivable was this? Since this overlord doppelganger hadn't completely merged with Star Palace, he had to pay a great price to display the divine power of the overlord true body by burning the emperor's chi. It might even affect the overlord true body, so he didn't use it at the beginning. At this time, the divine power of Tranquility Emperors was being worn down by the Thunder of Destiny, which also made the emperor's chi of the overlord doppelganger burn more and more. Kill. At this time, the monster of immortal and devil suddenly launched an attack. It burst out an aura that was the combination of the power of immortal and devil. It roared around its body and condensed into a field domain. It stretched out and forcibly shattered the shackles around it. Then it stepped forward and attacked Tranquility Emperor. The gorilla also got up and launched an attack with a strong body, devil poison, and devil fire. Tranquility Emperor had to spare half of his energy to make hand seals to release the divine power to deal with a monster of immortal and devil and the gorilla. Suddenly, a strand of shocking killing intent with a strand of dragon chi swept out in a mighty manner, which made Tranquility Emperor's divine domain collapse continuously. A bow appeared in Su Fong's hand. It was a Taoist instrument that he got after killing the doppelganger of immortal Emperor Tianong in the Jinlong world. It was one of the 10 Taoist instruments, the dragon-slaying, immortal-slaying bow. That's the dragon-slaying, immortal-slaying bow. How did my son, Ziwei's dragon-slaying, immortal-slaying bow fall into your hands? Tranquility Emperor's eyes emitted terrifying divine light as he stared at the bow in Su Fong's hand. It turns out that the peerless Taoist instrument that my subordinate got from the doppelganger of immortal Emperor Tianong is your son's. Su Fong seemed to have suddenly understood. Long, Tianong, you killed my son. Tranquility Emperor Mansion and the heavenly law immortal world are irreconcilable enemies. Tranquility Emperor was furious. He gnashed his teeth and his eyes were spitting fire. The 10 great Dao tools were extremely precious treasures, and they had been fused back together by someone else. It was obvious that Crown Prince Ziwei was as dead as a doornail. Tranquility Emperor had once killed a peerless genius of the heavenly law immortal world by himself. Crown Prince Ziwei was Tranquility Emperor's eldest son and also the most outstanding one. It seemed reasonable that immortal Emperor Tianong killed Crown Prince Ziwei for revenge. Besides, the dragon-slaying, immortal-slaying bow had been combined with the doppelganger of immortal Emperor Tianong. With Tranquility Emperor's cultivation, it was not difficult for him to sense immortal Emperor Tianong's aura. In this way, Tranquility Emperor confirmed that immortal Emperor Tianong had killed Crown Prince Ziwei. The hatred between Tranquility Emperor Fu and the heavenly law immortal world had reached a new height. Luo's voice came from the blood jade deep inside Su Fong's body. This time you sneaked into the Star Palace and set Yin Sunshin up. Then you pretended to be a member of the Devil Clan and framed him. Now you use the immortal slaying bow to provoke the hatred between Tranquility Emperor and Immortal Emperor Tianong Su Fong. You are getting more and more despicable. Su Fong replied innocently. Crown Prince Ziwei was killed by the doppelganger of Immortal Emperor Tianong. How can you say that I provoked him? If I told Tranquility Emperor the truth, would he believe me? I just used another way to let him know the truth. I didn't ask for anything in return. How can you say I am despicable? Luo was speechless at once. Hearing the news of his son's death, Tranquility Emperor went completely mad. His mind was in a mess, and he was forced to step back by the monster. His ability to control the field domain was greatly reduced. Tranquility Emperor, I brought you the news of Crown Prince Ziwei. You can repay me with this doppelganger. Su Fong laughed out loud. Tranquility Emperor sneered disdainfully. Arrogant junior of the Devil Clan. With your cultivation, it's already good enough that you can pull the bowstring. How dare you threaten me? Hiss. Su Fong pulled the immortal slaying bow to the fullest, which set off waves of shocking airflow. Rays of immortal light gathered on the bowstring and turned into a dragon shadow, which then condensed into a golden dragon arrow. Tranquility Emperor's eyes were filled with an inconceivable light. Although Su Fong's cultivation was only in the first Tao realm of the realm of immortal, he had the purple Qi Dharma spirit and integrated it with the Emperor's Qi. Therefore, he had a powerful ability to control Taoist instruments. It took him 20 years to kill the doppelganger of Immortal Emperor Tianong and get the immortal slaying bow. And this was because his cultivation was too low. Whoosh! The bowstring vibrated and the dragon arrow was shot out, which shook the space and broke the void. The monstrous killing intent burst out with a horrifying momentum that could penetrate everything. Wherever it went, it left a crack in the void, like a piece of paper being cut by a sharp weapon. If I want to destroy you, you'll be turned into ashes. Incantation of the Overlord. Tranquility Emperor operated the Overlord's heaven-soaring incantation again. The golden dragon arrow started to burn, and its speed slowed down. Break! With a cold shout, Tranquility Emperor made a handprint, and the golden dragon arrow shot out by the immortal slaying bow collapsed at once. Tranquility Emperor was so powerful that he could dissolve the shocking power of the 10 Taoist instruments by force. However, Tranquility Emperor also consumed a lot of energy. His body shrank again and became the height of a normal person. The divine power that covered the sky was also completely broken. Whoosh! It turned out to be the immortal devil monster. It seized the opportunity and released the sword chi of primordial spirit, which fiercely hit the defense of Tranquility Emperor's divine aperture. Tranquility Emperor had just solidified the defense of his divine aperture when the primordial spirit of second primordial spirit condensed into a raging wave of primordial spirit and attacked Tranquility Emperor. How could it be? How could it be more powerful than my primordial spirit? Tranquility Emperor was shocked. A golden crown-like Taoist instrument appeared above his head and released the divine power of primordial spirit to defend against the attack of second primordial spirit. It turned out to be a Taoist instrument for primordial spirit defense. It was not strange. Tranquility Emperor had become the supreme immortal emperor millions of years ago. His foundation was so solid that no force in this immortal area could be compared with him. Emperor Ying was just a subordinate of Tranquility Emperor, but he already had a Taoist instrument for primordial spirit defense. It was not strange that Tranquility Emperor's clone had such a powerful Taoist instrument for primordial spirit defense. Yin Yang Immortal Devil Scissors. The immortal devil monster suddenly separated its hands and shot out a beam of immortal light and devil light respectively, which formed a pair of Xianguang scissors. The fierce power of Yin and Yang was like a pair of sharp scissors, which was going to cut Tranquility Emperor's body in half. This was not a powerful divine power. It was just a simple attack that second primordial spirit comprehended according to the body. However, the power of this attack from the immortal devil monster was extremely shocking. It was not comparable to any ordinary divine power. Whoosh! Tranquility Emperor was a little dizzy after being attacked by a second primordial spirit. He was unprepared and was about to escape when his right arm was cut off from the elbow by the yin-yang immortal devil scissors. The doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor let out a miserable scream and flew away. Whoosh! Su Fong immediately used the wings of Fire Cloud and Fire Cloud steps. He grabbed Tranquility Emperor's right arm and put it into the cauldron after sealing it. His face was full of ecstasy. The insufferably arrogant doppelganger of Emperor Tranquility had one of his arms cut off and fled in panic. Such a glorious achievement was enough to make Su Fong feel proud. Su Fong didn't want to expose his identity, so he didn't use many magic skills and didn't use his last card, the Xianming Thunder Archive. If the news was spread out, it would definitely cause a sensation. However, Su Fong couldn't enjoy the credit. It would definitely fall on the Devil Tribe. The arm of the Tyrant Emperor's clone was a treasure. Not only did it contain a shocking amount of essence, it also contained an abundant amount of Emperor's Qi. If used to cultivate the Tyrant Emperor's heaven-soaring technique, it would definitely cause the Emperor's physique to undergo another transformation. Compared with the Devil Hand that Su Fong got in the Origin of Death Immortal Tomb, this arm of Overlord's clone was definitely not as good. However, it was too difficult to devour the Devil Hand. Su Fong had only absorbed a little bit of it so far. As for this arm, Su Fong could completely refine it in a short time. Compared with such a great gain, it was worth it to lose the life vitality. Tranquility Emperor must be crazy this time. Let's go. Su Fong hurriedly put the monster and the giant gorilla into the Jinlong world. Then he called out Wooling Goblin and entered the Wooling Goblin's internal space. Then he quickly climbed out of the cave. This time, Su Fong became very cautious. He supported Wooling Goblin with the divine power of Earth and the life-shortening technique of divine mystery to cover all the vital force of Wooling Goblin. Rumble! Before Wooling Goblin got out of the cave, the earth and the mountain shook. Half of the top of Proud Sky Peak was grabbed by Tranquility Emperor and lifted into the air. Devil Tribe, you and I are irreconcilable. Chapter 13:10. Whoosh! Whoosh! One figure after another rushed toward the Proud Sky Peak. In just 5 breaths, the Proud Sky Peak was surrounded by numerous cultivators from Emperor Ning's mansion. Yin Xin also rushed over with Huiyin Shinrikyo experts. Looking at the injured doppelganger of Emperor Ning, the masters of Emperor Ning's mansion and Huiyin Shinrikyo were all shocked. Even the doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor was badly injured. One of his arms was chopped off. How could the expert of the demon tribe who sneaked into the Star Palace be so powerful? What is their motive for doing this? It doesn't seem to make sense. Yin Xian was shocked and puzzled, but she also felt an indescribable sense of joy. She was rejoicing in their misfortune. Proud Sky Peak was completely surrounded from the air to the ground. Not even a speck of dust could float out, let alone a fly. Find out that evil cultivator. I'm going to skin him alive. Tranquility Emperor roared loudly, shaking the sky. Then, he unleashed the tyrannical Emperor's soaring the heavens spell and shattered the part of the Proud Sky Peak that he had grabbed into the air. The clone of the Tyrant Emperor played an important role in helping Tranquility Emperor to break through the bottleneck. Now that he had lost an arm and all the real powerhouses of the Star Palace had been rescued, the difficulty of integrating the Star Palace would be doubled. How could Tranquility Emperor, who had dominated this immortal realm for millions of years, not be angry when he suffered such a big loss? 1 month, 3 months, half a year. The search for demonic cultivators continued for 3 years, and the entire Proud Sky Peak was almost razed to the ground. In the end, naturally, he couldn't even find Shadow. As early as when Tranquility Emperor went berserk, Su Fong had entered the Jinlong realm. He had turned into a speck of dust in the Jinlong realm and hid among the rocks. Even if the Proud Sky Peak was broken into pieces, it was impossible to find him. Even though immortal emperors had powerful sensing abilities, they couldn't sense the existence of a spatial Dao item. Therefore, Tranquility Emperor could only blame the Devil Tribe and the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. The whole Tranquility Emperor's mansion had started to make plans to take revenge on the Devil Tribe and the heavenly law immortal realm. What happened in the Star Palace spread quickly and shocked the immortal world in all directions. All the major forces immediately stepped up their defense against the Devil Clan. The Demonic Mountain and the Nine Nightmare Demon sect also announced that they would close their sections. Obviously, they were worried about the revenge of the Emperor Ning's mansion. The situation in the immortal domain became even more tense and complicated. True Dragon Realm. While the Star Palace was in a mess outside, the True Long World was in full swing. At this moment, the central region of the True Dragon World had undergone a drastic change. The 6 dojos had been completed. Palaces and caves had been erected. Although they could not be compared to the dojos of the major factions, they were thriving. With the addition of the Huangfu family and Master Luan, the Alchemy Dojo and the Treasure Refining Dojo, the 2 dojos that Su Fong valued the most, were also put into use. Batch after batch of elixirs, especially the Yin Yang Immortal Sky Elixir, were refined and supplied to the cultivators under Su Fong and the Big Goblin. However, it was barely enough. There was still a shortage of the best Yin Yang Immortal Sky Elixir, which could not even satisfy the cultivators above the immortal realm. The main reason was the lack of materials for refining elixirs. The materials that Su Fong plundered from the Alchemy Dojo of the Star Palace had been used up. In the end, he had to send people to various regions of the True Long World to collect them. The magic weapons refined by the Treasure Refining Dojo were still stored there temporarily. Su Fong's subordinates were not short of Taoist weapons. The Taoist weapons refined by the Treasure Refining Dojo were more than enough to be used up. In the future, the magic weapons refined by the Treasure Refining Dojo would be sold by Wang Yuzhen in the Immortal Domain in exchange for cultivation resources. As the number of experts under Su Fong increased, he had no choice but to introduce a series of laws and detailed rules. Su Fong handed these over to Xian Yintian. The others, such as the Green Feather Emperor, the Drifting Snow Immortal, and Yu Ling Tian, assisted him. Xian Yintian's status was there. He was generous and fair in his actions. The experts under Su Fong and the Big Goblin who came from all over the world were all obedient to him. After more than 20 years of integration, they had begun to have the scale of a large force. As for the overall strength, Su Fong's subordinates were almost all elites from the 8 forces. Although there were not many of them, their combat power was definitely comparable to 10. In addition to various cultivation resources, the improvement of their overall strength had reached a level that no other force could match. In the main dojo where Su Fong lived, in a valley, layers of enchantments were created to protect it. Inside the valley, there was a huge pool of blood that was close to 3,000 feet long. It formed a whirlpool that kept spinning and rolling. In the center of the whirlpool, a bloody figure that looked exactly like Su Fong sat cross-legged. It was in a state of cultivation. At this time, Su Fong no longer entered the Crucible Transformation world to cultivate. The True Dragon Realm was originally his Dharma Treasure World. As the master of the True Dragon Realm, he was the sky in the True Dragon Realm. His will was the heavenly Tao. Nothing could threaten him. This valley was specially used by him to cultivate the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. The surrounding array was not to protect him, nor to hide any secrets. It was to prevent Fairy Xuanxin and his subordinates from seeing it and frightening them. Especially Fairy Xuanxin. Just imagine if she saw Su Fong transformed into such a monster when they dual cultivated an yin and yang in the future. Wouldn't it be a little what? Second primordial spirit, come. A thought was released from the eyes of the bloody figure at the bottom of the blood whirlpool. Whoosh! A black-robed man appeared above the blood whirlpool. It was the immortal demon monster that had been possessed by the second primordial spirit. Over the years, Su Fong had been helping the immortal demon monster recover its physical body with various elixirs, spiritual items, as well as Su Fong's own blood essence and the power of yin and yang. As a result, the immortal demon monster was slowly recovering. The compatibility between the second primordial spirit and its physical body had reached a new height. The immortal demon monster's face gradually changed slightly. It was vaguely similar to Su Fong, but its temperament was becoming colder and colder. It was different from Su Fangda. This was not only because the second primordial spirit had merged with Night Demon, but also because the second primordial spirit had been absorbing the cold Yin Qi in the origin sacred realm and transforming it into the evil Qi between heaven and earth for cultivation. That was why it was so different from the original body. The bloody figure Su Fang said, "I plan to devour the demon hand of demon venerable ancient netherworld and the arm of tranquil emperor's tyrant avatar at the same time. You can cultivate with me." A cold light flashed in the immortal demon monster's eyes. "Very good. As your cultivation improves, the power of my primordial spirit will also be strengthened. Besides, I need to devour some primordial spirit and life force to cultivate. If this immortal demon body wants to recover, it also needs to devour the pure life essence of the immortal demon. In this way, I can better exert the power of my physical body instead of just the power of my primordial spirit. That's what I think." With a thought, the demon hand of demon venerable ancient netherworld and the arm of tranquil emperor's tyrant avatar appeared from the formation. Puff! The demon hand and the arm fell into the blood water and were soon submerged by it. The blood water was sizzling with the amazing flame of life, as well as the pure devil Qi and immortal Qi. It was much easier for the arm of tranquil emperor's tyrant avatar to be devoured by the blood water. Soon, the skin fell off layer by layer, exposing the flesh. Then, the flesh melted into blood water and was devoured at an amazing speed. Although the demon hand didn't seem to have changed much, the life essence and devil Qi it brought after being corroded by the blood water was even stronger than that of the arm of Tyrant Avatar. This was because Demon Venerable Ancient Netherworld's realm was one realm higher than Tranquil Emperor's. Besides, the Demon Clan's physical body was very strong, and their vitality was very tenacious. Because Su Fang's physical body had reached the consummate realm, as well as the abilities of Blood Transformation Real Body, Black Lotus Real Body, Thunder Punishment Real Body, and the power of Yin and Yang, they had already merged with the Netherworld Blood Sea. Therefore, the Netherworld Blood Sea had all kinds of abilities of Su Fang. The unique cultivation method of Emperor of Netherworld had already evolved to a completely different level. If Emperor of Netherworld came back to life and saw this scene, he would definitely be amazed. The blood water was surging, and the flame of life was burning and roaring. The Netherworld Blood Sea had an amazing devouring ability. After devouring the life essence of the Demon Hand and the arm of Tyrant Avatar, Su Fang's physical strength was obviously improving. His genuine Qi was constantly rising. He had already stabilized at the normal state of Realm Immortal and was rushing towards the peak of Realm Immortal. While the Netherworld Blood Sea was improving its life force and genuine Qi, Su Fang in the center of the Bloodwater Vortex was also improving his genuine Qi. What was more, it was devouring the life essence of Immortal Emperors and Immortal Emperors You. It was imaginable how fast Su Fang's cultivation was. At the same time, Su Fang was also trying to break through the 29th Yang Meridian in the Tao Wheel of Yin and Yang. It was not far from the birth of a new Yang Meridian. The Tyrant Avatar of Tranquility Emperor had cultivated the Tyrant Emperor's heaven-soaring technique to the extreme. The Emperor's Qi in this arm was extremely pure. Su Fang activated the Tyrant Emperor's heaven-soaring technique to cultivate the golden elixir of origin and the Emperor's seal in his meridians and physical body. The Emperor's seal merged with the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Not only did it improve Su Fang's way of the Emperor rapidly, but it also improved his ability to control magic treasures to a new level. Then, it merged with the Jinlong World, the Xianming Thunder Archive, the Netherworld Samsara Sword, and other Taoist instruments, so that the power of the magic treasures increased little by little. The arm of the Tyrant Avatar of Tranquility Emperor and the Demon Hand of Demon Venerable Ancient Ming had brought such amazing changes to Su Fang. If it devoured the whole Tyrant Avatar, what kind of terrifying transformation would it bring? The body of the monster was recovering little by little, and the second primordial spirit was also growing stronger. About 5 years later, puff, under the state of constantly devouring the demon hand and the arm of the tyrant avatar Tranquility Emperor, Su Fong, who was in the middle of the netherworld sea of blood, suddenly exploded. The Tao Palace of Heaven and Earth was burning the pure Yang Qi. All the pure Yang Qi was attacking the 29th meridian, so that the entire Tao Palace of Heaven and Earth was filled with amazing pure Yang Qi. The 29th Yang meridian was about to be born. All kinds of elixirs and resources were thrown into the blood. In addition to the demon hand and arm that had not been completely devoured, the life Qi that was ignited after being corroded turned into a boiling sea of fire. Boom, 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 boom. A Yang Qi flame swept from the first Yang meridian all the way to the 29th Yang meridian. It expanded as if it was about to explode. The whole Tao will trembled. Finally, a shocking Yang Qi exploded from the meridian. Xianguang. The 29th Yang meridian turned into a jade-like color in an instant. Yang Qi crazily rushed into the meridian. A new Yang meridian was successfully born. At the same time, the 29th Yang meridian approached the Tao wheel of yin and yang. It connected with the 28th Yang meridian and became a part of the periphery of the Tao wheel of yin and yang, which made the Tao wheel bigger and more profound. Because a lot of Yang Qi was consumed, Su Fong felt that a lot of Yang Qi was lost in the Tao wheel of yin and yang. He still needed to devour a lot of Yang Qi to cultivate and become more abundant. Of course, the benefits brought to Su Fong were also amazing. Not only did the Yang Qi in his body increase again, but the 9 suns immortal fire formed by the illusory fire cloud also changed in both quantity and quality. At the same time, his cultivation speed also improved, especially the 9 changes of 9 suns. Tranquility Emperor would never dream that an arm of his tyrant avatar could bring me so many benefits. One day, I will devour the whole tyrant avatar and the body of Tranquility Emperor. It's time to leave the constellation of 9 heavens. Then I will fulfill the blood oath and kill the Yin Sun Shin. Chapter 13:11. Su Fong calculated the time with his fingers. Then he activated the life-shortening technique, combined with his full circle ability, and borrowed the power of the magic treasure in the Jinlong world to sense the outside. As Su Fong expected, Tranquility Emperor didn't have so much patience and energy to search for Su Fong all the time. Besides, he was sure that Su Fong had already left the Star Palace by using some forbidden method. Whoosh! A stone belt drilled out from the rubble. Its color was the same as the surrounding rocks, and it didn't have any aura. Even if Tranquility Emperor was there, he couldn't sense its existence. Su Fong activated his power and saw the ruins of the proud sky peak with the help of the power of the Wooling Goblin's eyes. He couldn't help but feel shocked. Tranquility Emperor was really angry. However, Tranquility Emperor's anger had nothing to do with Su Fong. It was all done by the Devil Tribe and Immortal Emperor Tian'an. He left the proud sky peak and came out of the Wooling Goblin. He waited for a lone cultivator of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion and let his second primordial spirit control his consciousness. Then he swaggered out of the constellation of 9 heavens. As soon as he left the constellation of 9 heavens, Su Fong felt as free as a bird flying in the sky. I need to choose a suitable place to fight with Yin Sun Shin. After thinking for a while, Su Fong changed his appearance and flew to the Xianao macro world with the feather fan. After passing through several immortal realms, Su Fong came to the central territory of the Xianao macro world. He went directly to an immortal city not far from the king city of the Heaven Tao immortal world. He spent a lot of money to rent a cave residence with abundant spiritual qi and live there temporarily. Then, he asked Wang Yuzhen to come out and leave the immortal city with 3 immortal emperors. They went straight to the king city of the Heaven Tao immortal world. Wang Yuzhen's mission was very important. In addition to asking the Chamber of Commerce to spread the news about the battle with Yin Sun Shin, she also needed to cooperate with the Chamber of Commerce to sell elixirs, magic treasures, and buy various materials. This was related to Su Fang's future wealth. 3 days later, Yin Nuxin, I'll be waiting for you in the heavenly Dao immortal world's king city. Do you dare to come? A merchant guild called the Grand Star Hall sent out a piece of news that immediately shook the entire immortal domain. Su Fang fulfilled the blood oath. 10 years later, at the Great Star Hall's Battle Immortal platform in the Heavenly Dao Immortal Realm's King City, the Chamber of Commerce would hold a life and death battle with Huoyin Shinrikyo and Yin Sunshin. The news spread quickly, causing a sensation in all directions. Yin Sunshin had fused with the twin swords of destruction, one of the 10 great Dao weapons. Coupled with the battle that destroyed the Star Palace, his reputation was like the sun in the sky in this immortal region. His peerless sharpness overshadowed some of the 10 great childs who were ranked at the top. In the past, Su Fang's fame was even higher than Yin Xinshin's. Now, he was almost forgotten by everyone. Why? The god burying enclosure swept across the Tranquility Emperor's mansion, the heavenly Dao immortal world, and the great Qin immortal world. Then, the experts of the 8 forces entered the sealed land in the giant battle canyon in order to fight for the supreme expert's body. Who knew that there would be a change in the sealed land? Except for a few who withdrew midway, most of the experts never returned. There was no news of them, and Su Fang was among them. At this time, Su Fang suddenly appeared and challenged Yin Sunshin in a high-profile manner, which attracted the attention of the 8 forces. The whereabouts of the experts who entered the sealed land, as well as the ownership of the supreme expert's body, were all questions that the various forces were eager to know. Only Su Fang could find the answer. As for the life-and-death battle between Su Fang and Yin Sunshin, not many people cared about who would win or lose. Even whether he could show up or not was a question. Which of the 8 forces didn't want to catch him? The heavenly Dao immortal realm, the secret realm where immortal Emperor Tian Ong lived. Long Xiaojun passed through the formation and came to the cave abode where immortal Emperor Tian Ong cultivated in seclusion. He sent a rune into the cave abode. Less than a breath later, immortal Emperor Tian Ang's surprised voice came from the cave abode. Su Fang actually came out of the sealed land and is going to challenge Yin Sunshin? Long Xiaojun replied respectfully, "That's right. The news was spread by the Great Star Hall, so it's absolutely true. The location of the battle will be in the King City of the Heavenly Dao Immortal World. I used my avatar to go to the god burying enclosure. My goal was not only to obtain the supreme expert's body, but also to obtain his purple Chi Dharma spirit. After the avatar entered the sealed land, it never came out again. Clearly, it has already died. However, the avatar is still here. Moreover, I can still sense that the avatar is suffering a hellish pain at all times. It's to the point that even my original avatar is affected, making it difficult for me to cultivate in peace. I really didn't expect that someone could come out of the sealed land and come to the heavenly Dao immortal world openly." Long Xiaojun said fiercely, "Father, why don't we wait until the day of the battle between Su Fang and Yin Sunshin, and then take him down in one fell swoop?" The Great Star Hall is not an ordinary chamber of commerce. Its power is not limited to this immortal realm, but the entire immortal world. Even I can't afford to offend it. If we want to take action, we can only do it before the battle. Pass down my order. Capture Su Fang alive at all costs. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's order was filled with fierce killing intent. The entire Heavenly Dao immortal world, including the Heavenly Dao White Sun sect, was activated. Not only did they thoroughly search the king city of the Heavenly Dao immortal world and the nearby immortal cities, but they also carried out strict checks on everyone who entered the Heavenly Dao immortal world. Tranquility Emperor Mansion. Tranquility Emperor, who was a peerless expert, also spread the same order as immortal Emperor Tianong. He wanted to capture Su Fang at all costs and find out the details of the death of Crown Prince Wei. More importantly, he wanted to get the information about the sealed land so that he could get the body of the peerless expert at one fell swoop. Tranquility Emperor would never dream that the person he wanted to capture at all costs was the so-called evil cultivator who cut off one of the arms of his tyrant emperor's doppelganger and slipped away right under his nose. Not only immortal Emperor Tian Ong and Tranquility Emperor's mansion, but also all the major forces in the immortal world and the Devil Tribe had set their eyes on Su Fong. They all sent their experts to the heavenly Tao immortal world. For a moment, experts from all over the king city of the heavenly Tao immortal world gathered. All the forces cast a big net, especially the heavenly Tao immortal world. They were waiting for Su Fong to appear so that they could capture him in one fell swoop. Star Palace, Huangfu Peak. Su Fong. A furious roar shook the entire mountain. If you want to fight, I'll fight. Good. It's good that you're still alive. I'll kill you and wash away the shame I suffered in the sealed land. I'll use your blood to strengthen my Taoist heart. I'd like to thank you for giving me another chance to be famous in the immortal world. The secret of the sealed land and the body of the supreme expert will also belong to me, Yin Senshin. The next day, Yin Senshin led a large number of Huiyin Shinrikyo experts to the heavenly Tao immortal world. While the 8 forces were paying attention to this battle and searching for Su Fong's whereabouts, Su Fong had already entered the immortal city not far from the king city of the heavenly Tao immortal world and lived in a rented cave residence. The cultivators of the heavenly Tao immortal world had interrogated him many times. However, with Su Fong's ability to conceal his aura, he might not be able to fool immortal Emperor Tianong. Others, even ordinary immortal emperors, could not see through his identity. Jinlong World. In the core of the Jinlong world, Su Fong's original body sat cross-legged in front of the lotus. With the help of the magic treasure, he extended his consciousness to every corner of the Jinlong world. As he had swallowed an arm of Emperor Ning's tyrant's clone, Su Fong's way of the emperor had improved. With the help of the sovereign's divine power and the purple Qi Dharma spirit, his ability to control the Jinlong world had greatly increased. At this time, Su Fong was already able to activate nearly 20% of the Jinlong world's power. He was no longer limited to the storage space of the magic treasure. He had a certain degree of control over the territory and various creatures in the Jinlong world. Sister Bai. With the help of the magic treasure, Su Fong saw Bai Ling, who was cultivating in a chaotic area of the Jinlong world. He immediately separated a part of his consciousness. Bai Ling's dissatisfied voice sounded, "Brother, you're finally willing to come and see your sister. I thought you had forgotten about me because you had a Taoist companion." After the integration of the Jinlong world, Su Fong came to see Bai Ling once and asked her to cultivate in peace. Now that he was scolded by her, Su Fong smiled embarrassedly. "How could I forget about you, Sister Bai? I was just afraid of disturbing your cultivation. Sister Bai, you should be breaking through to the Demon Emperor level now, right? Just a little bit more. The main thing is that the power of chaos is too difficult to cultivate. Fortunately, I have the Chaos Ring. Coincidentally, there is an area with chaotic laws here. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to break through to the Demon Emperor level. I'm at the critical moment of my breakthrough. I won't come out to see you. Remember to let me out of the Jinlong world when the time comes. I'll go through the tribulation in the natural world. Just let me know when the time comes." Su Fong was very happy for Bai Ling. The Green Feather Emperor had already become a Demon Emperor. On the way from the Star Palace to the heavenly Tao immortal world, the Vermilion Emperor had also successfully passed the tribulation and became a true Demon Emperor. Now it was Bai Ling again. The few powerful big goblins who had followed Su Fong from the small world to the immortal world were the sky-reaching Demon Venerable, the Undying Tortoise, and the Wooling Goblin. Su Fong had always regarded these powerful big goblins as family and friends, especially Bai Ling and the Green Feather Emperor. Su Fong was sincerely happy for them for being able to undergo such shocking transformations in such a short period of time. As for their strength, it was secondary. After bidding farewell to Bai Ling, Su Fong's consciousness roamed the Jinlong world. He came to the ice fields, the lava fields, and the metal fields that he had been to before. There were also many places that he had not been to before. Although the Jinlong world was severely damaged due to the chaotic energy and laws, coupled with the passage of millions of years, countless treasures and monsters of heaven and earth had been created. These treasures of heaven and earth would fetch a sky-high price in the outside world. At this time, Su Fong could borrow the power of the magic treasures to directly collect some ordinary spiritual objects and materials from the Jinlong world for refining elixirs and weapons. In addition, Wang Yuzhen had already reached an agreement with the Chamber of Commerce Hongxing Hall to sell elixirs and weapons in exchange for various resources. Su Fong no longer had to worry about materials. He could also suppress some monsters. However, for those treasures that were guarded by powerful monsters and those that were as numerous as ants and had strange abilities, Su Fong could borrow the power of the magic treasures to look at them. If he wanted to take them away or suppress them, he would have to pay a hefty price. Su Fong was not in a hurry. When the Jinlong world was integrated to a certain extent, he only needed a thought to suppress these monsters and take the treasures. He could take whatever he wanted. There was no need to waste his energy on this now. After dealing with Yin Sen Shin, I will slowly suppress the frigid frost snow ants on the ice fields and obtain the frost marrow ice essence for Xuanqin to cultivate. Then, I will build a palace for her on the ice mountain and let her cultivate here. As for the lava domain, after I have subdued all the fire rock monsters, I can move the weapon refining training hall here. As for the chaos domain, I can build a palace for Sister Bai. Su Fong was like an emperor patrolling his territory, secretly planning for the future. He continued to integrate the Jinlong world and cultivate. The 10-year battle was coming in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Su Fong appeared in the palace where Fairy Xuanqin lived. Fairy Xuanqin understood the purpose of Su Fong's visit and said calmly, "Is it time for the battle? I won't be going to watch the battle." Su Fong knew that although she had long since stopped caring about the Flame Immortal's heart, the past events had caused her too much harm. It had left a shadow in her unsullied Dao heart. Chapter 13:12. After Su Fong left, Fairy Xuanqin muttered to herself, "Su Fong, you and I share the same mind. How can I not know what you're thinking? You're underestimating me, Xuanqin. I'm not an ordinary woman. I've already cut off the shadow in my Dao heart when I was cultivating with you. There's not a trace of filth in my heart. With such a Dao partner, what regrets do I have in this life?" With a faint smile, Fairy Xuanqin's flawless face revealed great happiness. She was no different from an ordinary woman. Heavenly Dao, Immortal World's royal city. It was like a huge pearl floating in the air, beautiful and magnificent. The once bustling royal city was now heavily guarded. Groups of heavenly Dao White Sun sect cultivators patrolled in the air and on the ground, as if they were facing a great enemy. There were also powerhouses from the 8 forces who used various identities to sneak into the royal city and search everywhere. These people only had one goal, and that was Su Fong. 10 years had passed since the Chamber of Commerce spread the news. The 8 forces had used all their strength, but they couldn't find a trace of Su Fong. Until today, Yin Sen Shin had already arrived at the Hongxing Hall Chamber of Commerce, but Su Fong still hadn't shown up. The various forces concluded that Su Fong wouldn't show up at all. Some even thought that Yin Sen Shin had been played like a monkey by Su Fong this time. There were also some who thought that Su Fong was like the other powerhouses who entered the giant battle canyon and didn't come out at all. They thought that he had ulterior motives and deliberately spread the news through the Chamber of Commerce. South of Royal City, there was a magnificent palace building. Although it wasn't as domineering as the places where the power of the heavenly Dao Immortal World gathered, it exuded an incomparable aura of wealth. This was the Hongxing Hall, the largest chamber of commerce in the immortal domain. It was so powerful that even immortal Emperor Tianong, the absolute ruler of the heavenly Dao Immortal World, didn't dare to offend it. There were countless cultivators gathered outside the Hongxing Hall. They came from all over the immortal world to watch the shocking battle between Su Fong and Yin Sen Shin. However, to enter the Grand Star Hall, the entrance fee alone was enough to purchase a high-grade Dao artifact, which was why most people were rejected. Inside the Chamber of Commerce, in the depths of the palace complex, there was a piece of land that spanned 100 miles. On top of it was a mountain range, as well as forests and rivers. It was the immortal battling platform of the Grand Star Chamber of Commerce. This was a ruin that the Chamber of Commerce's peerless powerhouses had moved from the outer realm to this place with their supreme divine abilities. They had created all kinds of formations on it, and it was specifically used for battles between immortals. Floating around the immortal combat platform were mountain-like objects. From above, one could clearly see the battle taking place inside the immortal combat platform. However, other than those with special seals, no one else could enter the immortal battle platform. Moreover, the defense of the immortal battle platform was so strong that even immortal emperors would need a few days to break through. Therefore, no one could disturb the battle inside. The agreed time for the final battle was about to arrive. Yin Senshin sat cross-legged at the entrance of the immortal's battling platform, his face expressionless. Behind him stood a peak immortal emperor expert, 5 immortal emperors, and hundreds of Huiyin Shinrikyo elites. This was the lair of immortal Emperor Tian Ong. Huiyin Shinrikyo had formed an alliance with Tranquility Emperor Mansion. In order to prevent the Heavenly Tao immortal world from getting into trouble, Huiyin Shinrikyo had specially sent their absolute strength to ensure Yin Senshin's safety. However, with the supreme strength of immortal Emperor Tianong and the geographical advantage, this strength was obviously not enough to defeat Yin Senshin. Fortunately, the Grand Star Chamber had promised that no matter which side won, they would be escorted out of the Heavenly Tao immortal world. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong wouldn't act rashly. Su Fang hasn't shown up yet. Obviously, they won't be coming. Perhaps Su Fang didn't even come out from the giant battle canyon. Even if he did, he wouldn't dare to show up now that he has become the target of the 8 major powers. I heard that Yin Senshin was called Yin Nuxin by Su Fang. I wonder how he feels after being teased like this. Yin Nuxin, that's a good name. Ha ha ha. Discussions could be heard from the ruins in the sky. They were all mocking Yin Senshin. This was especially true for some of the peerless geniuses from the various factions, including Young Master Long and Young Master Qin. After being suppressed by the Flame Immortal's heart for nearly 100 years, how could they be convinced? At this moment, they were all waiting to see Yin Senshin make a fool of himself. When the voice reached the ears of the Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators, they were all furious, but they couldn't refute it. Yin Senshin, on the other hand, was sitting there with a calm expression. He seemed to be very shrewd and unconsciously revealed the demeanor of a peerless powerhouse. Time ticked by. Yin Senshin suddenly stood up from the ground. His sharp eyes swept across all directions, and he said loudly, "Su Fang, since you have agreed to a battle, why don't you dare to show up? Could it be that your so-called blood oath was just a joke?" Just as he finished speaking, a faint voice was heard. "The blood oath is a battle to the death. Since I'm going to take your head, how can I break the promise?" Whoosh! A figure leaped out from the ruins in the sky. Boom! Cries of surprise rang out from all directions as everyone's bright eyes focused on this figure. It's him. It's Su Fang indeed. He actually came out of the sealed land. All the powers are looking for him. He actually dares to show up. How bold! Su Fang must know the whereabouts of the powerhouses who entered the sealed land and the whereabouts of the peerless powerhouses' bodies. Capture him alive. Whoosh! 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 Many figures charged toward Su Fang from the ruins. Who dares to make a move in the Grand Star Hall? More than a dozen cultivators charged out from the ruins where Su Fang had just appeared. They formed a formation and unleashed a burst of aura, pushing back the powerhouses who intended to harm Su Fang. Anyone who dares to make a move against the two sides will be killed without mercy, an old man on the ruins shouted. At the same time, he unleashed a vast aura that swept out in all directions. He was actually an immortal emperor powerhouse. The Grand Star Hall Chamber of Commerce actually sent an immortal emperor powerhouse to oversee the battle. It was obvious that they were very powerful. No one knew how many more powers were hidden behind the scenes. Everyone completely gave up on the idea of attacking them. World Immortal Realm? Su Fang exuded the desolate aura of the Star Palace. Yin Sun could tell that he was in the world immortal realm. After a moment of shock, Yin Sun sneered disdainfully. Su Fong, I can't believe that you can reach such a realm after ascending to the immortal realm for less than 1,000 years. I, Yin Sun am impressed by your talent and cultivation. However, if you think that you can defeat me with this, isn't it ridiculous? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to kill the threat in advance. I don't need to use my mouth to prove whether I can defeat you or not. Didn't you kneel to me repeatedly in the sealed land? Isn't that the best proof? Yin Nushin. Su Fong's lips curled into a mocking smile. The Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators were all furious and burst into thunderous roars. Yin Sun laughed loudly. My Taoist heart is as strong as iron. How can your words shake it? In the sealed land, the power of my dual swords of destruction was limited, which gave you the upper hand. On the immortal battling platform, you have no chance at all. It's useless to say more. Let's fight to the death on the immortal battling platform. The two of them activated the seals in their hands and passed through the array. One after the other, they entered the immortal battling platform. The Blood Oath battle was a battle to the death. Therefore, there was no need for anyone to decide the outcome. In the end, only one of them could enter the immortal battling platform. Before the duel began, everyone was discussing the outcome. Most of them thought that Yin Sun would win. There were only a few who thought that Su Fong would win. The Blood Oath battle was an ancient duel. It was different from other forms of duels. It was an oath made to the heavenly Tao with one's Taoist heart. It was bound by the heavenly Tao. The higher one's cultivation realm, the greater the restriction. Therefore, very few people dared to make such a dual oath. In addition to their own strength, both sides could also use their Taoist weapons. However, they couldn't have any help from outsiders. Otherwise, even if they violated the Blood Oath and won, the Blood Oath bead would automatically explode in their bodies. If it was light, their Taoist heart would collapse, or they would be seriously injured. If it was heavy, they would die. Su Fong dominated the god burying enclosure. He mainly relied on his subordinates, the big goblin. They wouldn't be of much use in a duel. Yin Sun had fused with one of the 10 great Taoist weapons, the dual swords of destruction. Moreover, his cultivation realm had reached the 4th world immortal realm. When he activated the dual swords of destruction, he could kill immortal emperors. He could even fight against a peak immortal emperor. Let's look at Su Fong again. It was rumored that he also had an extremely powerful Taoist weapon. However, that was just a rumor. Those who had seen it with their own eyes, except for Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao, were either suppressed by Su Fong or died in the giant battle canyon. How much power could a world immortal Tao realm cultivator wield from a peerless Tao treasure? Therefore, not many people were optimistic about Su Fong. Of course, Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao were an exception. Yin Sun and Su Fong were hundreds of meters apart. They stood in the air. While people were still guessing who would win, Su Fong and Yin Sun were already fighting on the Battle Immortal stage. Yin Sun activated the fire fusion art of heaven and earth. An amazing fire element divine aura burst out. A lava-like flame gushed out of his right arm and condensed into a huge sword-shaped flame more than 50 meters long. It rolled towards Su Fong in a domineering manner. Extreme Nebula Incantation. Su Fong activated the stellar genuine Qi and cultivated the Extreme Nebula Incantation to the extreme. It turned into a burning nebula that was hundreds of meters long. The Extreme Nebula Incantation was the remarkable power of the constellation of 9 heavens. It used the essence of heaven and earth and borrowed the power of the stars to cultivate a large amount of nebulas. It transformed genuine Qi, yang immortal, breathing, and other cultivation methods into the nebula. However, Su Fong did not integrate other cultivation methods. Instead, he integrated the path of ethereal enlightenment into it. This made the Star Palace's remarkable power, which was considered ordinary in the eyes of others, suddenly become shocking. The nebula rolled and condensed into a solid defensive territory. It defended against Yin Senshin's fire element magic. The two kinds of remarkable powers were shattered one after another, causing explosions to sweep across. They were actually evenly matched. This is the peerless incantation of the ethereal enlightenment. It is indeed extraordinary. Yin Sun Shin was very surprised. After the destruction of Star Palace, the higher-ups of Star Palace were interrogated and interrogated. In the end, Yin Xinshin obtained a copy of Ethereal Enlightenment. However, it was Ethereal 10,000 Art Doctrine. This period of cultivation had brought unexpected benefits to the improvement of the Flame Immortal's heart and the comprehension of the dual swords of annihilation. However, what Su Feng used was the Ethereal Primordial Realm, which was not something the Flame Immortal's heart could compare to. The power of the Ethereal Primordial Realm was far more than that. Su Feng suddenly raised his hand and grabbed. A nebula rolled and quickly condensed into a 10-meter-long meteorite. It carried an astonishing burning and charging momentum as it smashed towards Yin Sun Shin. It was the Meteor Chaos skill. After being integrated with the Ethereal Primordial Realm, Su Feng used it casually. It exploded with astonishing power. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Meteorites fell from the sky one after another, causing Yin Sun Shin to gradually become flustered. Yin Sun Shin, why haven't you used your dual swords of destruction? Su Feng sneered. As you wish. Chapter 13:13. Yin Sun Shin's fusion with the twin swords of annihilation had clearly reached a higher level. It was easier for him to control the annihilation sword intent, and its power was even more shocking. Puff, puff, puff. The entire immortal battling platform was filled with a shocking aura of annihilation. The annihilation sword intent was like a ferocious beast, carrying a terrifying aura that could destroy everything. It disintegrated Su Feng's attack and fiercely pounced on Su Feng. Huiyin Shinrikyo's #1 disciple, your talent is indeed amazing. Coupled with your ambition and ruthlessness, Yin Sun Shin will sooner or later become the leader of Huiyin Shinrikyo. Unfortunately, you met Su Feng. Ethereal Primordial Realm, the Tao of illusion and reality. Su Feng used the Ethereal Primordial Realm, using the essence of heaven and earth and the power of the stars to quickly condense a near-real domain around him. It was not only a defensive domain made of matter, but also the power of nature. Boom, boom. The annihilation sword intent collided with Su Feng's defensive domain. The collision of the two forces caused a series of explosions. The domain's power was constantly shattered, and Yin Sun Shin's annihilation sword intent was gradually worn down until it finally disappeared. Is this the Ethereal Primordial Realm's supreme ability? On the ruins outside, the immortal battling platform, everyone was shocked by the shocking power displayed by Yin Sun Shin's annihilation sword intent. They were even more shocked by Su Feng's Ethereal Primordial Realm. At the same time, they revealed greed. They looked at Su Feng as if they were looking at a peerless treasure. Long Xiaojuan's eyes flashed as he stared at Su Feng. Su Feng has not only repeatedly made enemies with the heavenly law immortal realm, but he is also related to the secret of the sealed land and the ethereal primordial realm's supreme ability. He must not be allowed to leave the heavenly law immortal realm. Huang Lingyao said indifferently, this person has all kinds of amazing means. In the past few years, the heavenly law immortal world has used all of its power, but it's still difficult to find his trace. Since he dares to challenge Yin Sun Shin and Wang Cheng, he must have a way to win and leave. If we want to catch him alive, only the immortal emperor can do it himself. Long Xiaojun said decisively. Su Feng just showed up at the Chamber of Commerce of the Hongxing Hall. He must have something to do with the Chamber of Commerce. If there is no other way, we can only ask my father to take him down, even if it means offending the Hongxing Hall. Even if Tranquility Emperor himself was here, it would take him a lot of effort to leave Yunwu City. The other forces were also secretly making arrangements. As long as Su Feng could walk out of the Battle Immortal platform alive, what awaited him would be an inescapable net. He would not be able to escape even if he had wings. Is this the true divine ability of ethereal quintessence? Su Feng, You really did hide something from Star Palace. I've changed my mind. I've decided to keep you alive for now. I'll search your soul, and all your secrets will belong to me." Yin Xianxin was shocked, and her eyes lit up with a shocking light. Su Fong sneered disdainfully. "I believe that you, Yin Sunxin, are vicious and merciless. Of course you can do it. You even killed your junior apprentice brother Yu Jingyin with one sword move. What else can you not do, Yin Sunxin?" How did you know?" Yin Sunxin was shocked. It was as if Su Fong had seen through everything. He was shocked. Fortunately, the voices in the Battle Immortal platform were blocked. Otherwise, if the Huoyin Shinrikyo disciples heard it, it would cause a great disturbance. "It seems that you have many secrets that I, Yin Sunxin, don't know. I can use them to help me achieve my goal of becoming the Supreme Emperor. Now, I'll show you the peerless power of the twin swords of destruction." Yin Sunxin suddenly formed a mudra with his hands. Two shocking sword lights suddenly burst out from between his eyebrows. Chi! The two sword lights intertwined and shot out from between Yin Sunxin's eyebrows towards Su Fong. Swoosh! The sword lights intertwined like a ferocious beast. They tore a big hole in the defensive field formed by Su Fong's ethereal primordial realm. They pounced on Su Fong, trying to swallow him. "Yin Sunxin, are you still not willing to use your full strength? This power shouldn't be half of the power of the twin swords of destruction. Do you think you can kill me, Su Fong, with this?" A sword will also burst out from Su Fong's body. It circled around him, forming a powerful samsara divine might like a vortex. The sword will of destruction entered the area covered by the samsara divine might and was shattered again and again. The sword will of destruction was also suppressed and merged by the samsara divine might. In the end, it formed the power of reincarnation. As Su Fong formed a mudra, the sword will of destruction that was exactly the same as before was reversed and shot toward Yin Sunxin. Sword will. He has also mastered a sword will and has the ability to reverse the enemy's attack. What kind of peerless divine ability is this? Not only Yin Sunxin, but the cultivators outside the immortal battling platform were also seeing such a powerful and strange sword will for the first time. Everyone was surprised and shocked. This was the ability of the underworld samsara sword. Not only could it suppress the enemy's divine might, but it could also counterattack the enemy's divine might. Along with the transformation of the underworld blood sea and the improvement of the underworld samsara technique, his ability to control the samsara sword had also risen to a new height. The power of the sword intent he activated had also become stronger, easily dissolving Yin Xianxin's attack and forming a counterattack. Since you're not willing to use your full strength, then let me force you to use your full strength. Taking advantage of the counterattack of the samsara divine might, Su Fong charged forward. Yin Sunxin finally took out the dual swords of destruction. Two shocking sword lights twined around his body, and a terrifying chi power of destruction rose to the sky. At this moment, Su Fong also burst out a shocking divine might, with a supreme domineering aura and the luck that only a peerless emperor could have. The sovereign aura combined with the purple chi dharma spirit not only created a huge shackle on the will of the flame immortal's heart, but at the same time, the purple chi dharma spirit's ability to control magic treasures caused the 10 Tao treasures, the twin swords of annihilation, to tremble. There was a hint that the flame immortal's heart could no longer control them, and that they would obey Su Fong's orders. "Sword spirit, what's going on?" Yin Sunxin was shocked. He quickly strengthened his control of the dual swords of destruction to get rid of the influence. The sword spirit of the dual swords of destruction replied, "I don't know what's going on. It seems that there's a power in this divine might that makes me surrender. This person's divine might is simply heaven-defying." Yin Sunxin's eyes were filled with shock and horror. Not only the dual swords of destruction were affected by this divine might, but the cultivators outside the Fighting Immortals stage also felt that the Taoist artifacts in their bodies were restless and wanted to leave their masters' bodies. What a terrifying divine might. It can even affect other people's magic treasures. There was a burst of exclamations from the ruins. It was very shocking. Purple Chi Dharma Spirit. This is the Purple Chi Dharma Spirit. Huang Lingyao sensed a familiar aura from this divine might, which was the same as the Qi meridian that she had given to immortal Emperor Tian Ong. Suddenly, Huang Lingyao had a faint sense of regret. If she had given the purple Qi meridian, wouldn't she have the same divine might as Su Fang? In a flash, Su Fang charged over in an unstoppable and majestic manner, like a god of war. My dual swords of destruction are not only for attacking, but also for destroying all divine powers. Yin Sun Shin smiled proudly and activated the sword will of destruction. Sword essences as thin as silk overlapped each other, forming a dense defense around him. The dual swords of destruction, one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, was indeed extraordinary. The defense formed by the sword could destroy all divine powers and Dharma treasures. Suddenly, purple golden lightning flashed on Su Fang's right arm, and a shocking thunder divine might burst out. Lightning god art. This kid actually has a lightning god art. That's not a thunder divine power, but a kind of physical ability. His body contains the power of thunder divine powers. Amid the exclamations of the people, Su Fang activated the ability of the Thunder Punishment True Body. He gathered the power of the Thunder Punishment and punched the sword will of destruction, causing a big explosion. The entire Fighting Immortals stage shook violently, and some arrays collapsed. After being shattered, they quickly recovered, but the sword will of destruction was clearly weakened. Boom! Boom! Su Fang punched out again and again, causing the earth to quake and the mountains to shake. It was as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. Physical abilities were not divine powers, so the consumption was much lower than using divine powers. Yin Senshin's defense gradually shrank and finally stabilized around 10 feet around him. The power of the dual swords of destruction was indeed extraordinary. Su Fang's Thunder Punishment True Body could not destroy it. Yin Senshin looked disdainful. Just as he was about to counterattack, a crimson flame suddenly appeared on Su Fang's right arm. It merged with the lightning to form a thunder fire, releasing a terrifying thunder and fire divine might. 9 suns, celestial fire. It merged with the Thunder Punishment True Body to form a powerful 9 suns, thunder fire. Rumble. Yin Senshin punched, and the sword will of destruction's defense shattered. Su Fang charged out in large strides. He was domineering and powerful as he activated the 9 suns lightning fire to crush over. Poof! Yin Senshin was engulfed by the power of the 9 suns thunder fire. He spat out blood and was forced to retreat. Thunder and fire. These 2 powers were both violent and fierce. The 9 suns thunder fire formed by the fusion of them was unparalleled. It was as powerful as thunder. Su Fang transformed into a peerless god of war, suppressing Yin Senshin to the point that he could not fight back. This scene shocked the people outside the Immortal Combat platform. They looked at Su Fang's figure and felt a sense of fear in their hearts. Yin Senshin, where did your domineering and peerless edge go? Why are you like a weak chicken? Su Fang laughed loudly. He was very domineering and pleased. He retreated again and again until there was no place to retreat. Yin Senshin suddenly roared, Su Fang, let's see who will have a last laugh. Whoosh! Yin Senshin's body suddenly burst out with a fire elemental divine might. His whole body was burning with flames. It then merged with the sword will of destruction. The sword force and the fire force were burning. An imposing aura that could incinerate and destroy all matter and energy enveloped 100 zhang radius, turning this area into a huge cauldron. It formed a shackle and melting divine might. Any matter and energy would be melted in this place. Su Fang, let's end this. Even if you die, you should feel honored to be able to force me to use my strongest attack. Yin Senshin laughed wildly with supreme arrogance. He activated his chi. A wave of magma that was merged with the sword will of destruction rolled towards Su Fang like a volcanic eruption. Such a shocking attack was barely unleashed by Yin Senshin by burning his fire elemental cultivation base and the sword spirit of the twin swords of destruction. He was confident that he could kill a peak immortal emperor with this attack. The sword, will of destruction, is merged with the divine might of fire. It's indeed extraordinary. However, I also know a little of the divine might of fire. Since you want to end it, then let's end the blood oath battle. The corner of Su Fang's mouth curled up slightly. His upper body burst into flames with a bang, turning into a burning flame state. He looked very similar to Yin Sanshin. The difference was that Su Fang's divine might of fire was stronger than Yin Senshin's. Moreover, the scattered flames gave people an illusory and blurry feeling. This was the unique ability of the Thousand Illusions Starfire. The people outside the Immortal Combat platform couldn't see the situation inside. They could only see a sea of flames. When the flames entered Yin Senshin's eyes, a trace of confusion appeared in his eyes. Almost at the same time, a black Xian Guang burst out from Su Fang's eyes, shuttling through the sea of flames. Asterisk Hong Long Long. Asterisk after an earth-shattering explosion, the flames surged and soared to the sky, drowning the entire Immortal Combat platform. Everything calmed down. Chapter 13-14. Yin Sanshin had won? Where was Su Fang? Had he been killed by Yin Sanshin? Not even a trace of his aura was left. Everyone in the ruins outside the Immortal Combat platform was dumbstruck, and they were extremely shocked and surprised. Yin Sanshin had won, and Su Fang had been killed. In the end, everyone had to accept this fact, and there was an uproar. At that moment, Yin Sanshin was like the sun in the sky. He was so dazzling that even the brightest stars paled in comparison. Su Fang was killed by Yin Sanshin. Not even his body was left. He still had many tricks and peerless Taoist artifacts. How could he be killed so easily? Huang Lingyao's eyes were filled with doubt. Long Xiaojun let out a long breath and said, "Although I don't believe that Su Fang was killed so easily, the truth is right in front of us. We have to admit it. Humph, an ant without great luck. He was arrogant and domineering just because he had a little talent. He would die sooner or later. It was too easy for him to die like this." Looking at Yin Senshin, Long Xiaojun's eyes flashed sharply. This man has merged with the dual sword of destruction. His luck and strength are both peerless. Besides, he colluded with Emperor Ning's mansion. He must be eliminated as soon as possible. At the Chamber of Commerce of the Hongxing Hall, a big shot of the Chamber of Commerce said in surprise, "Miss Wang, the person you asked the Chamber of Commerce to protect was killed by Yin Sanshin. What should we do next?" The Miss Wang that the big shot was talking about was Wang Yuzhen, who was sent by Su Fang to do business with the Hongxing Hall. All these years, the elixirs and magic treasures of the True Dragon Realm were sold through the Hongxing Hall. Other elixirs and magic treasures were secondary. Once the Yin Yang Immortal Sky elixir was sold, it would cause a huge sensation. It was usually sold out as soon as it was put up. One Yin Yang Immortal Sky elixir required 300 or more Immortal Essence elixirs of the same grade. It was a sky-high price. Because of this, Wang Yuzhen became a guest of honor at the Hongxing Hall. This time, Su Fang could enter the Chamber of Commerce's immortal battling platform easily because of Wang Yuzhen. Unexpectedly, the Hongxing Hall Chamber of Commerce was naturally surprised that Su Fang was killed by Yin Sanshin. Wang Yuzhen frowned as she watched Yin Sanshin step by step onto the immortal platform. Her eyes were filled with worry. At this moment, Yin Sanshin was being pursued by the experts of Huiyin Shinrikyo, including the peak immortal emperor. They clustered around him like a peerless emperor, looking majestic and awe-inspiring. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in Wang Yuzhen's mind. "Senior Sister Wang, let the experts of the Chamber of Commerce escort Yin Sanshin out of the Tian Dao immortal world." Wang Yuzhen was not surprised at all. Instead, she was pleasantly surprised. She replied with her primordial spirit, "Su Fang, where are you? Are you okay?" Su Fang's voice was filled with supreme arrogance. "How can a mere Yin Sanshin hurt me? Su Fang, I've already taken over his body. I'm now in his body." It turned out that Su Fang didn't use the illusory fire cloud to resist Yin Senshin's strongest attack, but to use the power of the illusory fire star to cover up the attack of his second primordial spirit. While Yin Senshin's primordial spirit was affected by the power of the illusory fire star, Su Fong released his second primordial spirit. The power of his second primordial spirit was so strong that it could even crush the primordial spirit of an immortal emperor. Yin Senshin's strongest attack was the dual sword of destruction. His primordial spirit was far weaker than an immortal emperor's, and he didn't have a defensive primordial spirit like the clone of Tranquility Emperor. Moreover, under the influence of the illusory fire star, his second primordial spirit easily broke through the defense of his divine aperture and devoured his primordial spirit. It was devouring, not controlling his primordial spirit like Night Demon. In this way, Yin Senshin was no longer in existence, and only his body was left. At the same time, Su Fong quickly entered the Zhenlong realm, causing Yin Senshin's shocking attack to miss. Then, Yin Senshin secretly took the Zhenlong realm into his body. Even if Immortal Emperor Tian Ong and Tranquility Emperor were both present, they couldn't find anything unusual. Junior brother Su Fong, I didn't expect you to be as cunning as you were the first time we met in the Star Palace. It seems that I have to be more careful in front of you, or else I'll be betrayed by you. Wang Yuzhen secretly used her primordial spirit. Su Fong was depressed. Wang Yuzhen was becoming less and less like a subordinate. He had to find a chance to teach her the rules. Wang Yuzhen smiled and said to the tycoon of the Chamber of Commerce, Grand Star Hall, you'd better keep your promise and escort Yin Senshin out of the Tiandao immortal realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under the escort of the experts of the Chamber of Commerce, including the immortal emperor, Yin Senshin and the Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators quickly left the Tiandao immortal realm. The 8 forces came for Su Fong. Now that Su Fong was killed, they didn't know what to do for a while. Although many people felt that the situation was a little strange and wanted to interrogate Yin Senshin, they were afraid of the Chamber of Commerce and could only watch Yin Senshin leave. The experts of the Chamber of Commerce didn't leave until they were out of the Tiandao immortal realm. Congratulations, young Master Yin Senshin, for killing Su Fong and becoming famous in the immortal realm. The Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators cupped their fists and congratulated Yin Senshin. Most of them were Yin Senshin seniors. At this time, they were all flattering him. I was just lucky. Let's go back to the sect as soon as possible. Yin Senshin responded politely without any arrogance. Go back to the sect. Aren't we going back to the Star Palace? At this time, Yin Senshin controlled the 3 dojos of the Star Palace and formed a force of his own. He rarely returned to the Huiyin Shinrikyo. Now that he suddenly proposed to go back to the sect, everyone was very surprised. Yin Senshin said lightly, This time, killing Su Fong has caused a sensation in the immortal realm. How can I not go back to the sect and report to the leader? That's right. Such a big matter should be reported to the leader face to face. Yin Senshin is indeed loyal to the sect. He thinks of his sect first in everything. The peak immortal emperor of the Huiyin Shinrikyo praised loudly. The Huiyin Shinrikyo cultivators also praised. However, who knew what kind of disaster Yin Senshin would bring to the Huiyin Shinrikyo this time? Just as they were about to leave, a majestic voice suddenly sounded. Experts of the Huiyin Shinrikyo, since you have come to the heavenly law immortal realm, why don't you stay for a few more days? A majestic emperor Qi shrouded the space and time in all directions. Astonishing divine shackles shrouded the bodies of the Huiyin Shinrikyo experts. Even the peak immortal emperor expert was trembling, and his will was on the verge of collapse. Buzz! In Yin Senshin's body, Su Fong felt the purple Qi Dharma spirit trembling. At the same time, the heavenly secret life shrinking technique also had a strong reaction. The mysterious Tao of destiny flashed in his mind and condensed into a figure. In the heavenly devil blood plate, the primordial spirit of immortal Emperor Tianong, who was suffering the pain of being burned by the demonic flame, also couldn't help but tremble and struggle. Immortal Emperor Tianong, and its immortal Emperor Tianong himself. Su Fong was shocked. He quickly sealed the purple Qi Dharma spirit and then entered the true dragon world. He thought that he had safely left the heavenly Tao immortal world, but he didn't expect that immortal Emperor Tianong would come in person. The experts of the fire-overflowing Divine Sun sect were also horrified. In front of immortal Emperor Tianong's true body, these so-called experts were just a bunch of ants. A towering figure came out of the void. Immortal Emperor Tianong. Immortal Emperor Tianong was wearing a golden Taoist robe. He looked like he was only in his 30s. He had a square face and a rugged face, exuding a supreme, domineering aura. He wasn't very tall, but he had an incomparably vast chi, giving people the illusion that he was the supreme ruler of this space and time. The peak immortal emperor of Huyin, Shinrikyo, said in a trembling voice, "Greetings, immortal Emperor Tianong. May I know why immortal Emperor Tianong wants to keep us here? I won't make things difficult for you. I'll let Yin Sun Shin keep Su Fang here." If I'm not wrong, Su Fang's body was not destroyed. He was captured alive by you, or at least his body is in your hands. Regardless of whether he's dead or alive, you must keep him here. Immortal Emperor Tianong's voice came out of nowhere. The cultivators of Huyin, Shinrikyo, looked at Yin Sun Shin. They felt that what immortal Emperor Tianong said was most likely true. Su Fang, who was in Yin Senshin's body, was also shocked. It's not easy to fool an immortal emperor expert, but you're wrong about one thing. Although Yin Sun Shin is extraordinary, how can he kill me? Even if you kill all the cultivators of Huyin Shinrikyo, you won't be able to find me. Yin Sun Shin said indifferently, "Su Fang has been turned into ashes by my strongest attack. Immortal Emperor Tianong's judgment is wrong. Whether it's right or wrong, I'll search you. If it doesn't work, I'll search your soul." Immortal Emperor Tianong grabbed toward Yin Sun Shin. Immediately, a force condensed in the void and shackled Yin Senshin's body. Yin Sun Shin flew toward immortal Emperor Tianong uncontrollably. Immortal Emperor Tianong, don't push it too far. Are you going to start a war with Huyin Shinrikyo? The peak immortal emperor expert of Huyin Shinrikyo shouted angrily. Yin Senshin's status in the sect was extraordinary. It was undoubtedly a humiliation to the entire Huyin Shinrikyo that he was captured by immortal Emperor Tianong like a weakling. Start a war. So what? How dare you secretly form an alliance with Emperor Ning's mansion? Sooner or later, I'll erase Huyin Shinrikyo from this immortal realm. Immortal Emperor Tianong sneered disdainfully. He didn't put Huyin Shinrikyo in his eyes at all. Yin Sun Shin was about to fall into immortal Emperor Tianong's hands. There was a vague sword chi surging in Yin Senshin's eyes. It wasn't the sword intent of destruction. When his second primordial spirit took over Yin Senshin's body, the dual swords of destruction had become ownerless. In the end, they were temporarily sealed in the heavenly dipper cauldron by Su Fang. Instead, his second primordial spirit was ready to trigger the divine power of his primordial spirit to attack immortal Emperor Tianong fiercely. Suddenly, "Long Tianong, why don't you erase Emperor Ning's mansion from this immortal realm at the same time?" A cold and ethereal voice came from the void. The voice seemed to be above the heavenly Tao. As soon as the voice fell, the divine power of immortal Emperor Tianong that shackled the void was shattered. A man in white came out of the void and stood 3,000 meters away from immortal Emperor Tianong. At this time, he was wearing a plain white robe. His chi was profound and empty, just like an ordinary person. However, when he opened and closed his eyes, his every movement revealed a supreme, sovereign chi that was above the heavens and earth. It was even more powerful than immortal Emperor Tianong, Tranquility Emperor. You came to the heavenly Tao, immortal realm in person. Is Emperor Ning's mansion declaring war on the heavenly Tao, immortal realm? Immortal Emperor Tianong's eyes suddenly changed. Tranquility Emperor said coldly, "More than 100,000 years ago, I killed the peerless genius of your long family. You came to Emperor Ning's mansion to seek revenge on me. This time, you killed my son, Crown Prince Ziwei, and took away the Dragon Slayer immortal slaying bow. Why can't I go to the heavenly Tao, immortal realm, to seek revenge for my son? Immortal Emperor Tian Ong sneered. Tranquility, Emperor. I have been in seclusion for more than 100,000 years. When did I kill your son? If you want to fight, let's fight. Why do you have to find such a lousy excuse?